It is Thursday, the 14th of May, 2026, and I started, but for almost 30 seconds, yet again, my mic was off, but this time at least I was able to catch it earlier than yesterday. Um, yeah, it was raining all day yesterday, so there wasn't a lot of stuff that I was able to get to. Today's supposed to be a little bit better, so hopefully I can get some things done around the yard. Still a lot to work on because it's a big property. Not complaining at all again, but anyway, I was going to go to bed early last night because my mind was just exploding. There was just so much that was on the go yesterday, and phone calls too, and emails, and like pretty intense day. And so I was gonna go to bed early. My animals were on the bed with me. My cat, my two dogs. It was just so great. Love Mindshock, Bruce McGuire. And so he was live. He had started earlier. I didn't catch like the first 50 minutes of it or whatever. And was he live? Forget. Maybe he wasn't live. Maybe I'm thinking of Ken. Because I caught him. Yeah, okay, no, I'm actually mistaking the two. Sorry for that. Yeah, Ken Wheeler was on the live, but he was already like 60 minutes in when I started watching the stream. I just wanted to see if he was going to say anything regarding what I shared with him, like that thesis proposal submission that he was going to review, because I'm still very interested to see what he comes back with. But yeah, so anyways, Bruce McGuire. Okay, he was a video that he posted the day before. I just started watching it. Then he mentions Math Powerland, and that just like woke me right up. I'm like, I know that guy, and I'm like, how do I know that guy? And I'm like, oh my goodness, he is someone that we've been conversating. Although I'm gonna be honest with people, and not for any reason of from him, but I ghosted him and multiple other people though. So like not even him, but within the industry. I was even gonna do other podcasts with other people within the community. And then I just pulled back, right? Like some of the things were lined up, ready to go, and then I was just like, I don't know if this is the time. I've told that to people that even Austin, like he took almost a year off. Well, I also like I kept on doing my videos and stuff like that, but I did hold back a lot until this year, reaching out to people because I'm like, you know what? I really don't know who I can trust. I don't know if these podcasts, if they're going to be useful for the community or not, because again there were so many conspiracy theories around so many different people, right? Like with Jaron, with Patty, with Eric Dubay, with Jaron, if I didn't already mention that. Yeah, so many people within the community, and then people like doing these hit piece videos on them and things like that, and I'm guilty of doing that as well. So even with Eric Dubay, it's been like I think over 3 years ago now, but I'm going to share this video. But what Bruce is sharing, I actually share like a lot more. And again, that was questioning Eric Dubay because again of that hit piece or whatever it was that had came out. I shared that whole thing and more, and I came to the conclusion that there are many people that are like what people would perceive to be like a little eccentric, or they're unusual in their mannerisms or whatever. But he just seems like a really smart guy, like a genius. I think he's a genius, and I like his videos. I've said that now for the last few years, and I don't think that he is a like a plant or CIA or any of that stuff. Um, but I'll get into that later. Nor do I think Math Powerland is some kind of a PSYOPS like plant or any of that either. And again, having talked to both of them in the last year, I think I could give just a little bit more insight into that as to why I'm coming to those conclusions. But yeah, I'll just get into updates first because there is, again, there's so much going on right now. Okay, so this is from Andrew Lawton. He is a member of Parliament for the Conservatives, and he's really good. I really like his platform, what he speaks on. And so this is from him. This is regarding CBC and the APTN hit piece that they were trying to make. Again, they do this all the time. It's been years, but they're finally getting exposed because of people like Frances Widdowson, who is very smart, very courageous, and she has the wherewithal when she knows that she's being set up to actually record. And she doesn't hold back. Again, she's very peaceful, but she's stern and direct. And a lot of people take that as aggressive when it's not. Anyway, so this is outrageous. CBC is behind a production that has been deceptively entrapping interviewees and in true CBC fashion, seemingly sparing no expense. How do fraudulent fake documentaries fit in with Mark Miller's claim of CBC being necessary for social cohesion? So this is from Lindsay Shepard. I found out recently that I was deceived by social media, social activists rather, in an elaborate scheme dating back to January. A production group with what I now know has a fake name and fake identities gave me a friendly interview about my book, A Day with Sir John A, and about Sir John A. So more. Anyways, it goes from there. I already shared this, but this is a tactic of CBC, the Rosemary Bartons, the David Cochrans. Like they're not truthful. They want to maintain power. They want to have the vote be liberal no matter what. They don't care about anyone. If you're not voting liberal, they don't give a shit about you. In fact, they hate you because you are going against their their bottom dollar. They got a lot of money for their grift, right? And with the liberals still in, it's again, it's ridiculous how much money these people are getting paid to literally deceive us. And if you speak out against it, or if you email your leaders, then you become a target in true dictatorship fashion. So here's your king, King Charles. My ministers will also proceed with the indoctrination of digital ID. And Canada wants to have a closer relationship with the EU and the UK. And I'm saying, why? And now Mark Carney is talking about the governor general and like the leader of the Canadian Armed Forces, all this stuff. And I'm like, this is a shit show. Like he's now trying to put more power into symbolic figures because like that again, like that like gives the like passes the buck back to the crown, like just very, very convenient, right? Oh, not me. And digital ID, again, that is overreach. And they're already doing it. And more out of Canada. When we talk about leftist radicals and funding major organizations within Canada that are destabilizing it from the inside, and they utilize the Red-Green Alliance in order to also implement, again, this regime change, this new world order that they think is going to be so much better than Christian countries. Anyways, Alex Soros, the son of George Soros, who I've talked about in videos for years, excuse me, shared a series of pictures of himself meeting with Carney, liberal politicians over the weekend, including industry minister Melanie Joly, a fucking clown, who is the one that was the reason why we don't have a Kuzma deal. And the fact that she's not fired yet for that is absolutely mind-blowing. And it's actually even the US that actually even said that. I forget what the guy's name is. I've talked about him before as well. But he literally mentioned her. Melanie Joly, with her little friggin' moronic fucking dealings, literally is the one that stopped that deal. And the only reason why she was hired is because she's a lesbian. DEI does not work. Merit-based. Now we have, again, Canadian Armed Forces. Thank you, Jenny Carignan, for destroying the Canadian Armed Forces further and putting more harm on women, including internationally now too. So video shows trans lieutenant for us anyways, obliterating, female opponents in military games. Look at this guy. Look how fucking big this guy is. And it's M for male, by the way. Anyways, it's not really, but that's what I'm going to say it. So a towering trans lieutenant in the Canadian Armed Forces is dominating the military women's national volleyball tournament, smashing balls at blistering speeds into female opponents' faces and knocking them off their feet during a military league match between Ottawa and Halifax. The 6 foot plus biological male competing in the 2026 CAF Canadian Armed Forces National Women's Volleyball Championship left one player reeling after a vicious spike straight to the face, highlighting the unfair physical advantages in women's military sports. Juno News has identified the player as Royal Canadian Navy, as an infantry officer veteran, Sub-Lieutenant James Jamie Poirier. The Canadian Armed Forces has not responded to Juno News' request for comment, but the official website states that the Women's League is meant to reduce various barriers that have traditionally hindered women's full and equal participation in sports. Do you know how much of an oxymoron that statement is, Jenny Carignan, Chief of Defense Staff, the leader of our fucking military? Again, I'm all about women's rights and cultural shift and ending systemic sexism, etc. But I'm going to allow grown-ass men over 6 feet tall to be in Canadian military games? What? It's not co-ed. These are women's teams, right? And I'm going to say also, like for the volleyball teams, because people are saying like, oh, the women that play volleyball, they're all over 6 feet tall. Well, actually, no, that's not the case. And I can actually confirm that because when I went to RMC, we had a volleyball team as well. And again, this was considered like, competed against civilians, but they also competed against other like military teams, etc. And they also went to CISM. So they did international military games where they were competing in volleyball. Actually, one of my closest friends, she was the coach, the captain rather, of the volleyball team at RMC for a couple of years. And she was 6'1", but she was the tallest person on the team. Because again, when you're going in the military, again, it's not based on height requirements, right? Like you're and the pool is limited. So at RMC, the volleyball team had to be women from RMC. Okay, so you were not getting women that were like all over 6 feet tall. That was just not happening. You would get a few, but most women, were like 5'8". You had some 5'5" women on there. Even our basketball team, like one of the better players, actually, she was like 5'4", a freaking tank. And yeah. And so a big towering man competing against women in the military who are likely ranging between the heights of like 5'4" and like 6'1" or 2. Again, at the extreme, the tallest I've seen. Come on. Yeah. Yeah. DEI, woke, ESG friggin' culture has dismantled the Canadian Armed Forces from the inside out. Sorry, wrong. From the outside in. From the outside in. With the Red and Green Alliance, with the woke DEI, LGBTQ plus AXYZ stuff, all of that stuff. This is all over the news too. So this is what we call a useful idiot, because I said it a few times already, of the Red Green Alliance. I've done videos on it. But this is the liberal guy that was competing against another liberal guy who would just so happen to be Muslim. And he's saying, and this is Nate Erskine Smith, white Canadian politician who cosplayed as a Muslim, voted for 10 years to bring in millions of immigrants, literally millions of immigrants from Islamic republics, loses to cheating Muslims, complains about it. They use Amazon receipts and travel visas as voter ID. Well, okay, so because you're too ignorant to realize what you voted in and what you allowed into the country, you didn't think that as soon as they had the opportunity to take you out, they weren't going to use it. Do you not know about the Red Green Alliance? And if you don't, well, there you go. You're learning from experience, and you've ruined your community in the process. Anyway, that's your karma. Still no accountability for COVID. And Fauci now, I guess, in the clear for crimes against humanity, for literal murder, for lying, for manipulation, for deceit, all of these things. No, this guy can get away with it. But if you call him a mean name online about it, you might get visited by cops. Anyway, who is running the deep state? So Senator Ron Johnson, who I have emailed before, didn't get back to me, obviously. But again, he's American. Like, why would he look at Canadian emails before his own? And he probably gets hundreds of emails a day. So anyways, calls on the mainstream media to start covering what he described as a major scam surrounding COVID vaccine safety signals. How many thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of people are permanently disabled or possibly lost their life, lost their careers, by the way, as well, lost their homes, lost their jobs, weren't able to see family during major significant events like for funerals and for weddings and for birthdays, etc. Yeah, because their FDA hid the fact that there were safety signals screaming at them with the COVID injection. Johnson then asked the question. He says Congress still has not answered. Who is running this deep state?
Mainstream media, CBS, ABC, CNN, to step forward and start covering what is a major scam. How many thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of people are permanently disabled or possibly lost their life because our FDA hid the fact that there were safety signals screaming at them with the COVID injection. So again, you can't answer all my questions in terms of...
We were literally over email, like after like over a year, sometimes even 2 years, 4 years. Again, no responses back. And we're like, we're literally giving you the safety signals. We're literally giving you the VAERS reports. We're literally giving you like the stats showing you how they manipulated and even showed it openly in what they were distributing before they archived it and when we recovered it. We were like all of that stuff, right? So people were talking about the fog of war during COVID. There were people that were not in any fog of war. They were people that it was a very, very bright, sunny day out very clearly. And people were seeing very clearly what was going on and sharing that information. And I'm including myself in that as well, talking about the lab leak, gain of function, the Wuhan games, before fucking anyone. And I'm sorry for swearing, but again, it's because I was in these networks before. And it just so happens that again, on my algorithms, on my feeds, I do keep up to date on certain groups, certain, things that I've done in my life. Like I still feel like I'm part of those groups or like to just keep tabs. Anyways, I'm rambling. Event 201, Clade X, Biden talking about Nord Stream. There's so many things. And it's like, people are saying, oh, like, I can't believe, really? Because we were emailing you guys for literally years, like cabinet and stuff like that. And again, being put on lists instead of actually looking at the safety signals. It was disgusting. And then emails, people are saying you are literally killing people. You are literally killing people. And that's desperation. Please read these emails. Do your fucking job. For fucking once. And I'm sorry for swearing, but this is where people were at, right? People like every single day, like they're emailing, they're calling, and no one's answering, or they're answering and they're getting gaslit, or they're, oh, that's very important, we're going to follow up, and then they don't. But every email that we send, when we have the acknowledgement from the government website that it was received, never a email back, never an email back. Disgusting. So what are we paying for? For them to go on happy hour? To cosplay fucking, I don't know, politicians, people that actually care about their citizens during these parliamentary meetings and stuff like that. It's a joke. They sound like children. They lie to us. It's all rage bait. It's all for clicks. It's all for like little clips that they can like share and make it look like the liberals are actually doing something meaningful, but they're lying. And they're clowns. And again, when you get Steven Crowder and Nick Fuentes, again, someone in his 20s, and who says wild things, they have more intellectual, superior conversations, and I said this yesterday as well, than anyone in cabinet. You would never see David Lameni and Melanie Jolie for an hour talking about foreign relations or the economy or friggin' anything. Again, without sounding completely ridiculous, because even asking them simple questions, look how ridiculous they sound when we already know the real answer. It's very obvious. And they just, again, they think that by like blocking and deflecting and lying, they think that that's actually still working. Well, no, you just are pushing us more and more down. We still know what's going on, but we also know that you're making it criminal more and more so and ruining people's lives. Again, to shut down the truth, because you guys are disgusting. And again, I'm going on all these rants. I'm sorry. I'm like literally firing myself up.
But we need to figure out who is running this deep state. I need the mainstream media.
Carney's war on Donald Trump.
In the United States.
And I'm going to reiterate, the U.S. has been and needs to remain Canada's biggest allies. And I can't even believe that there are so many people that are falling for, again, like this bullshit. Even people that were conservative, again, they hate Trump, hate America. I have people that I've known for years that are still in the friggin' military or in the government in other capacities. And again, they see America as a friggin' threat. And they're like, we should be part of the EU, the crown. Oh my God. And I mean that respectfully, but that, no. You are being, anyways, fooled yet again. So I just want to see what she has to say. So Mark Carney is architecting, is that a word? A new global order to counter Trump. While Trump, and I don't agree with everything Donald Trump says or does. Look at my millions of videos on that. While Donald Trump pushes American independence and national sovereignty, Mark Carney is busy building a successor to the rules-based international order. Carney is consolidating Anglosphere and European power, with recent moves centered in Armenia, while simultaneously reshaping Canada's power structure through a new Governor General appointment. Here's the constitutional reality most Canadians don't know. And again, with another appointment with the Governor General, again, he's giving more power to the Crown. Guess what? Digital ID, all of this other bullshit stuff that the UK is doing. And look at their country now. It's fallen. It's occupied. They're not free. They don't have free speech. They don't have the right to bear arms. None of that stuff. Why do we want that model? coordinated effort to maintain elite international control and push back against Trump's America's First vision. Canadians are being pulled into Carney's international agenda at the expense of our own sovereignty. I've talked about this for years. She's correct. Our affordability and independence. We don't need Canada to be a pawn in the globalist game. We need leadership that puts Canada first, not one that aligns against Trump to preserve the old order.
States is not on the list because what you saw was not a diplomatic trip. It was a rival power center being put together in real time, a rules-based order 2.0, engineered to try and stop Donald Trump's America. Now, Carney isn't just the spokesman for this project. He's one of the architects.
Told ya.
And what Carney did when he returned to Canada the day after that Armenia summit is going to tell you all you need to know about who that architecture serves. I'm Susan Kokinda. For decades, I've tracked how that rules-based order has been used to destroy the United States. And I can tell you what President Trump is doing, from the Straits of Hormuz to rebuilding America's economic independence, is the first real challenge to that empire in over 50 years. So if this is your kind of fight, hit those like, share, and subscribe. This week, Mark Carney was...
Yeah. So Louise Arbour, let's pause, okay, yeah. Justice and Prime Minister Mark Carney's pick for Governor General Louise Arbour derided Canadian soldiers as white boys who like guns and don't like women, while overseeing an inquiry into the Canadian Armed Forces in 2022. Now, people are saying that that's like taken out of context and stuff like that, so here is more on that. So the comment appeared in a Maclean's profile on Arbour, published in July of that year. In the interview, Arbour argued Canada's military risks perpetuating a restrictive internal culture if it continues recruiting what she described as white boys. White boys. The majority of Canadians, again, before the last 4 years, 5 years, were white boys. Just like the majority of people in China were, you know, Chinese, or whatever you want to call it. I don't even know, like of a certain skin color and hair color. In Japan, in Europe, it used to be like that as well. In the Scandinavian countries, in Latin America, in Africa, where people of different skin colors are the friggin' majority in these countries, right? Not white. They are the minority or are not really there at all. There's a few countries in the world, again, less than, it ranges between 6 and like 8% of the world population are white, right? We are the friggin' minority. And now we're becoming the minority in the countries that we were living in for hundreds, if not thousands of years. It's ridiculous. Anyway. And having worked again with the white boys that you're talking about, I will tell you that Canada's freaking soldiers, and again, a lot of our cops too and firefighters, but again, the woke DEI stuff completely has dismantled that in the last 5 years, especially. So our police force, our fire department, our Canadian Armed Forces, again, these are getting lower and lower standards, including even advanced care paramedics and stuff like that, because we're allowing in incompetence at the expense of incompetence at the expense of competence, I guess, or merit. And amazing, incredible friggin' men. All right. So I'm going to give props to like a lot of the white boys that people want to hate on, that having served for 15 years with them and then getting out, incorporating, and then doing high level security work. So many other things. Executive protection was all mostly with men and mostly with white men, again, because it's the majority in these fucking areas, also with other people as well to try to get some diversity. But like, no, it's like you have to represent the Canadian society anyway. And incredible men have sacrificed so much for this country, have sacrificed their family life, like so much, and incredibly fit, incredibly smart, incredibly high functioning, high emotion, high EQ, incredible human beings. And they've done so much domestic operations, international operations, stuff like that, helping women and children and homosexuals and stuff like that in countries where it's still criminal to be gay. And they get shit on when they get home by these same groups, you clowns. By these libtards and stuff like that, or people that don't agree with what we were doing in the Middle East. But you aren't doing it. You're here now. We're paying you, by the way, to be here, to live comfortably doing nothing for a lot of cases, and I mean that respectfully. And you're seeking asylum and refugee status from these same countries that we went to. I've deployed, lost people there, trying to make your country better, and you're coming here and telling me that my country needs to be worse? Because it needs to be more... Anyway, I'm going on all these rants because I get fired up. But we are shitting on the wrong people. Yeah. The military, this is what she said, the armed forces should rely more on external institutions, including human rights bodies and academia. But again, these are all like one-sided. This is all ESG, DEI, woke LGBTQ plus IA. This is what they're talking about when they're talking about external institutions. They're not talking about institutions that could be working with the Canadian Armed Forces that would make them more effective, like maybe some, like, I don't know, like private security assistants, people that are doing like covert operations, but like doing contractual work with them. You can have Indigenous peoples throughout Canada that have their own like security forces type thing where they're on canoes and lakes and training people how to do that as well. And there's so many things we can actually do, but instead we're literally worrying about such a small percentage of the fucking population, Canadian population. And we want them to be represented as like 50% of our Canadian Armed Forces. And it doesn't help. Yeah. And all this talk too about like sexual harassment and assault. And I've been through that. Okay. I had to move like over 10 times in my career because of stuff like that. But I'm also going to say I've also experienced that like from again, multiple other angles as well. And I've talked about that, including from the left, a lot from the left as well, or the Red Green Alliance types. And I had a point, but I clearly lost it because I go on too many tangents. Yeah, but just what we're bringing into the Canadian Armed Forces has made it substantially worse, and it was much better when it was a majority white men. And I'm going to say it because it's the truth. Yeah, if you just recruit white boys who like guns, but don't like women or anybody who doesn't look like them, you'll perpetuate that culture. So that's where she was saying, oh, I was talking about these, but why are you putting them in a bubble? Why are you saying white guys who like guns? Why are you associating them with like, oh, but you know, but also like because they don't like women and they don't like other, that's a lie. That is such a lie. And I'm going to say for the most part, I was fully supported, but I gained the respect of people as well, right? I wasn't a DEI hire. It was merit-based. It was very hard. They did not want me in to begin with. I will tell you that. A lot of people I mean. It was very difficult. It wasn't that I was like, oh, here's all like the ways that we can like make you able to like pass these courses. No, it was hard. Okay. And if you can't do pull-ups and you can't do push-ups and you can't lift a man's body weight over a certain period of time and you can't do a run and you can't do a rucksack march and you have no fighting skills and you've never fired a gun before, then you have no place. I'm sorry. And I mean that. Again, give you the chance and stuff like that, maybe through basic training. But like if you can't measure up, then you're out, right? And that's why you get more people usually from rural areas that join the military or law enforcement or firefighters and stuff like that, because they are people that have historically and generationally helped their communities, right? And then and because they've been hunting and fishing and hiking and stuff like that, like in the woods and stuff like that their entire lives, it's a natural fit, right? These are the type of people that you want. They're usually more fit, they're usually stronger because they've done a lot of more manual labor as kids, right? Including myself, a lot of cutting wood, a lot of piling wood, a lot of doing the hay bales, right? Like not the big freaking circular ones. And you have to, anyway, and growing gardens and hunting and fishing. Like this is hard work, but it's so fun. And I would never replace that, right? Like being able to go on dirt bikes and drive on tractors and quads and skidoos for my upbringing was incredible. And yeah, and so it was a natural gravitation towards my career. I wasn't living in suburbia, you know. Anyways, not to hate on people living in suburbia. It's just a more difficult transition into like the military and law enforcement types jobs.
Yeah. So can you tell me?
Okay, so going on another tangent. So 323 virus vials missing in 2024 in Australia, and there are even some Australians that are saying that this is the first time they're hearing about this.
Tell me about the
That's how sensitive we are.
323 vials of virus samples that went missing from a lab in Brisbane, Australia. And can you also let me know if out of all those virals that went missing, if any of those vials were of the hantavirus? And can you also let me know if we've found those virus samples?
Yes, the story is real. In late 2024, Queensland Health confirmed that 323 vials containing virus samples went missing from the Public Health Virology Laboratory in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. And yes, hantavirus samples were included. Queensland Health stated there was no evidence the samples were stolen. They also said the viruses would likely become non-infectious fairly quickly if removed from ultra-cold storage. As of the reporting available, the vials have not been physically recovered or definitively accounted for. The official conclusion was basically, they were likely misplaced, destroyed, or improperly logged during the freezer breakdown transfer process. So the honest answer is yes, hantavirus files were among the missing samples. No, they have not been found. But authorities say there is no evidence of public exposure, theft, or an active threat. One thing that got exaggerated online, people started framing this like hundreds of weaponized pandemic viruses escaped. That is not what officials or virologists said. In fact, Queensland's chief health officer specifically noted there's never been a recorded human hantavirus infection acquired in Australia.
Yeah, so can you...
We don't know what happened to them, even though it was in a very secure lab, a bio lab, that has so many control measures and mechanisms in place and checks and balances for stuff like this not to happen. But officials say, don't worry about it. It's okay. Because we believe you after COVID.
Last August, the BC Supreme Court ruled in the Cowichan case that Aboriginal title had prior and senior status over private property rights. This is an unprecedented ruling, Mr. Speaker, and it changes everything. It was the result of the Liberal government refusing to defend property rights in the court. See, the federal government is the defendant in this case. The Liberal government passed Litigation Guideline 14, an instruction from the Liberal cabinet that federal lawyers were not to argue for the seniority of fee simple property rights. These are people who in good faith bought the land, paid down the mortgages, followed the rules. They deserve to have the security and the certainty that they own the homes that they live in. Conservatives will fight for you. We'll fight for your home, for your land, for your property, and for all Canadians.
And people were saying with Pierre too for the last election, don't vote in Canada or vote for the Liberals or vote for NDP. No, no. Wrong move, Nick Fuentes. And this is also circulating. I'm almost done, and then I'm going to get into Bruce. I like his work. So again, not a hit piece on Bruce, to be clear. Not at all. In fact, probably the opposite. And I want to do a podcast with him. So anyways, just in CIA raids Tulsi Gabbard's office in desperate deep state hit job. The CIA seized boxes of JFK assassination and MK Ultra files she was about to declassify. I emailed Senator Ron Johnson and I gave him some info that I had compiled regarding like the JFK assassination, COVID, 9/11, and a few other things. I shared that email with people. I still haven't got a response back, obviously, like I said. But, excuse me, if people are interested, look at my videos on that.
Tulsi Gabbard's office. Agents hauled out dozens of boxes, files on the JFK assassination and MK Ultra, the CIA mind control operation, which she was in the process of declassifying. Today's whistleblower said it during his deposition, and Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna confirmed it moments ago.
The reason why this is troubling is, A, there was an executive order that the president had directed the full declassification of JFK, but then also to the MK Ultra files. The CIA famously has said that, you know, all documents were released and other documents had been destroyed. So these are allegedly those documents that apparently never existed.
Can the CIA overrule the president?
No, the CIA cannot overrule the president. The CIA cannot even overrule the director of national intelligence. In 1975, the Church Committee, which became the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, specifically ordered DCI William Colby to release all of the MK Ultra files. He famously went back to CIA headquarters and ordered that all of the files be destroyed. 85% of them were destroyed. He was held in contempt of Congress, and then CIA employees lined the halls and contributed cash to pay for the fine that he was ordered to pay. We only know what we know about MK Ultra because of the 15% of the files that weren't destroyed. These are among those 15% of the files. They are mandated to be declassified. The American people have a right to know what is in these files, and the CIA can't raid offices, least of all the offices of the Director of National Intelligence. It's just real life isn't supposed to work this way. This is crazy.
This is something out of a movie, but the CIA was experimenting with LSD on
Yes.
willing and unwilling participants during the Cold War for intelligence operations and to exploit people, and it didn't go well a lot of the time.
No.
And they threw it all in a wastebasket, right? Like it never really worked. Is that why they don't want anybody to know about it?
I think they don't want people to know any more than what we know about, for example, dosing innocent citizens of San Francisco, California, or a small village in France and putting LSD in the yeast at the only bakery in the village just to see if everybody in the village would go nuts, which they did, of course, or coming up with a program in San Francisco to hire prostitutes to dose Johns and see if they would cough up their innermost secrets. Ridiculous.
Tulsi Gabbard's
Nobody's saying that the Western world is perfect. There are books and academics' careers and all sorts of accolades that can be achieved by chronicling, as Yanis very articulately did, about the evils of the West and its history. You can do that forever because every great civilization in history has committed things that we, by our standards today, consider evil, and in fact will be hypocritical in its own time too. But the question is, what is a better set of values? Does one exist? Now, to answer your question about, what you're alluding to, there is a phrase in America that I think answers your question very well: a more perfect union. No one suggests that the United States or the values of Western Europe are perfect. I would not suggest that even to this day, all people in America are treated equally, whether that's on sex or race or whatever line. But which country has made more progress? We talk endlessly in the West about racism. Okay, what other great civilizations in the world are better at race relations than we are? Is it Russia? When I was last in Russia, there was a song playing on the metro, which was, "They killed a Negro, la, 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 he can't play basketball anymore." In China, one of the most popular commercials on TV was a Chinese girl who was approached by a black man. She pulls him off and shoves him into a washing machine. She puts the product that is being advertised into the washing machine. And what's the payoff? He comes out Chinese. Where is this great world to which we are comparing ourselves to? You cannot compare our civilization to utopia. You have to compare compare it to reality. And in reality, we are the best civilization in existence today. And that is why we must maintain our dominance around the world. Nobody is saying that the
This is your host, Bruce McWood.
I'm on friggin' mute. I was on fucking mute this whole time. Oh my goodness. I don't even know how long I was on mute for. Can someone let me know? I hate when I do that. And so, anyways, I'm gonna have to do the whole thing over. I'm sorry for that. So Bruce McGuire, who I enjoy his work. He's Mindshock. He usually gets a lot of viewers, and I love his podcasts. And so he just put one out in the last 2 days regarding Eric Dubay and Math Powerland, and asked and making an assessment if they were a CIA or PSYOPS, etc. And so having talked to them in the last year, and having talked to a lot of other people, and again having like just very conflicting views of these people or assessments, because again just like so much that's out there, even within the community, which I think is a distraction. It's just really hard to like know who you can trust and who you can talk to if that's not going to fuck with your life even more, right? So even with Math Powerland, I'll get into that. Our conversations, I did go dark on him last year, not because I didn't want to have him on a podcast or anything like that, but just because of the stress and the issues that we were both going through at the time. I just needed to I had to have that divide for a little while, and then just make my own assessments. Right? Because even again with Jaron and Dave Weiss and Austin and Mark Sargent and Patricia Steer and all these people, again, there was so much controversy around these people, especially in the last year or two, that it was just, who will be helpful to be in my network and who would be harmful, right? Whether it's because they're spreading misinformation and a plant from the beginning, or it's because they're actually not very they're not forthcoming or as competent as they can be within the truther community, and they may be sharing some good information regarding flat earth, for example, but when they're talking about other conspiracies or doing analysis of other events, it just makes them look so ridiculous, right? And I don't mean to call out the fittest flat earther, right? But I'm going to put him in that category, right? Like he has some good stuff regarding flat earth, right? And he's smart in a lot of things, but then he talks about ridiculous things, right? About the lookalikes and about clone, all this other stuff, right? That just, again, it's just completely bogus. Discredits the movement. He gets super popular, so people are like, "Oh, look at these are the flat earthers. These are the people representing the flat Earth community, and look what else they're sharing." And it's like, "Oh my goodness, we don't think that, right?" And or people that from the beginning that become part of the movement from the beginning. It's created for them to be the leader of it. Like all these, like what people were saying yesterday as well, communities, organizations, etc., being built by design to have it where the opposition is the one that's leading it and managing it and directing it. Happens all the time. And so, anyways, this was from Eric last year. I sent him something and said, he said, hey, thanks, Don. And so he says, yes, I do know. Sorry, he does think, I'm not going to give all the names, but, and many of the FEIC crew are controlled opposition. And he's done videos on that, by the way. Talked about Patricia Steer is another one that just allegedly went back to the Globe, but was clearly disingenuous from the beginning. And then he said, I appreciate the offer to come on your channel. I'm pretty busy with my own projects and podcasts, but thanks for the invite. Very respectful, right? And he is really busy and he's still posting really good videos on evolution, on creation, like just so many incredible videos, right? And so people can slam him all they want or think he's controlled opposition or whatever, but we've been ruining his friggin' life for many years. There's been so many hit pieces on him. And again, like you're showing him in a dress or whatever. Again, these are costumes, right? He's an entertainer as well. And he's also a genius. And he's getting attacked from all sides. And a lot of the information he's shared has woken up a lot of people. And he's just, again, it's just attack after attack. And if you don't think that the government and people, the radicals, MK Ultra people are targeting him and doxing him and harassing him and threatening him and stuff like that, like, then you're out of your mind, right? This is absolutely, and he doesn't even have to tell me that. I know it's happening, and to other people as well in the truther community. It's also happening to me. It's happening in Math Powerland. It happens to people I know that try to email government within Canada over constitutional violations and stuff like that, and they end up having Chinooks or helicopters circling their overhead. Anyways, so many examples of that stuff. Getting their addresses docked, like I've said before, and wiretaps and financial issues, like randomly, and divorces. All right. So Eric Dubay, and again, from what I gather, he was in an abusive marriage. And if you think that a general's daughter couldn't be abusive, come on, like, look at the environment she was raised in. And again, this is not for stereotypes or anything like that. And so, yeah. And so I think he's divorced now. And I think in the last few years, he has been living back in Maine or in the US at least. And again, he probably just wants some time to himself. Like, his marriage was destroyed. That's probably a lot. I'm divorced. It fucking sucks. You know what I mean? And he gets a lot of hate. And all he's doing is posting videos trying to help people and wake people up. And he gets hit on so much by people within the community and Math Powerland too. But less so, right? Because like Math Powerland, he does come across as more genuine. But again, some people are a little bit more what you would consider to be socially awkward or eccentric or whatever, but they're geniuses and they're also entertainers. And there's even a couple other people I know that I've had on my podcast before, because I don't care what they do in their personal lives if they're not harming other people, and he's not. But yeah, like another guy I won't say his name, but like I've looked at his private art gallery. He's a genius. And he's wearing and he's doing some provocative photo shoots, and I don't care. He's wearing dresses in some of the photos and stuff like that. I literally don't give a shit. He's a very nice person, and yeah, I'm going on all over the place. And so I've also talked to Math Powerland, is what I was saying, and he's tried to reach out to me in the last year, but I just blocked literally everyone. And then this video came up and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even know he was a flat earther. I didn't make the connection last year, right? Like because we were talking about other stuff. And there was another person in Canada that, again, he was getting doxxed, and he was getting people from that were working with the government on the left that were following him to certain places. And he was showing videos of this, and he was literally on video just calling them out, saying like I know your names and this is where you work. And he's like, why are you harassing me? And why are you showing up here? And again, they're just deflecting and blocking and stuff like that. But it was getting serious. And even Mercedes Stevenson, who talks about sexual scandals and stuff like that, these hit pieces in 2021. She's talking about a general who had a mistress, someone that showed his penis 30 years ago, all these cases. But she has fucked married men in the Canadian Armed Forces and in other departments as well. And this is a fact, I'm saying it's a fact. I wasn't there, so I'm going to take that back, allegedly. But again, I worked in these places with these men, again, merit-based, not some fucking pick-me, again, journalist that is only using her position to get access to these men, because she was, anyways, in my opinion, a sexual deviant, because a lot of the guys made fun of her, saying that she slept with half the unit. This unit I'm talking about, including a couple of married men. And apparently she's also hit on a lot of married men. So she wants to talk about sexual misconduct in the Canadian Armed Forces. Lady, you are part of that. You are part of that. All right? And the nerve, global TV, the nerve of the hit piece in 2021 to go after these guys, and a lot of the, again, it was bogus allegations in a lot of cases, which destroyed lives and completely destroyed any hope of saving or salvaging the Canadian Armed Forces and pushing this woke DEI culture shift. No, that actually put it in full drive. So I don't hate her or anything like that, by the way, just to be clear. I don't like what she's done to Canada or our Canadian Armed Forces. And I knew the people personally that she was targeting as well. And they were incredible officers and fucking incredible officers. And they were actually trying to help, right? They didn't want to have these extreme lockdown and mandates and enforced inoculations of 100% of the Canadian Armed Forces. And what this lady did was forced resignations of men that were actually stepping up to the plate and trying to resist the regime. And so that was what I was upset about and still upset about, because she's still going after people on the right still that are talking about COVID or exposing government, I say government secrets, but exposing government crimes. She's getting other people to harass them, intimidate them, including people within the military, even the Americans. And this is proof. And I did a video on it. So like, you're not helping news. In fact, you're making things a lot worse. And again, I don't wish any ill will towards her. I just think that she should be fired. I don't think she has any business being a journalist because of her behavior and her conduct and what she's pushed out being complete misinformation that's caused a lot of harm and death. And other people I knew as well, like all over Canada, like talking to her and stuff like that, and she was hitting on them, like married Sartex and stuff like that as well. But again, they were trying to give her COVID information, and she was like, "You're wrong. You're wrong. What do you know? What do you know, journalist? More than a Sartek would know in the community that he talks to and stuff like that about what's going on in the fucking Canadian Armed Forces or in the country or internationally for that matter." Anyway.
Wire. And we are finally tackling the Eric Dubay enigma. Is Eric Dubay connected to the CIA? Is all of Flat Earth itself, Flat Earth being let out of the bag per se by agents, MK Ultra or not?
Oh yeah, and then Math Powerland as well. Because I think my mic was off. He's gone through a lot, and he's still going through a lot. He's still getting tortured every single day, by the way. I don't think he calls it that or anything like that, but like there's a lot of psychological operations going on with him. His marriage also destroyed, right? To the point where I think she was also used to try to get dirt on him as well. And it was absolutely disgusting. This is the stuff we were talking about, right? And he like didn't think that I was safe being where I was in Canada, but I explained like where I am and stuff like that. I'm actually safer here, and I have a community and I have support and stuff like that. And I'm not committing any crimes. But I get his point. Like he's like, I know you're not committing crimes, but they're gonna make just even sharing this information a crime, right? And then you're fucked. But anyways, and so we talked about that. But like I wasn't willing to move, and I'm still not. And that was where that was the friction point, right? And so that's where I just needed to pull back. I'm like, maybe I'm not seeing things or the threat as much as I should be, despite the fact that, again, I've been doxxed. My house is like, people have showed up at my door multiple times, circled my block. We're on my dog trail at my gym. I'm not even making this up because I actually have proof of these things. There's other things I'm not mentioning anymore because I don't have the actual proof, but I do have like a really strong likelihood that it was what I thought it was. But again, without proof, I'm like, okay, I can talk about the things I can actually prove and that the cops did nothing about, which makes me suspicious. Well, I mean, if you're not even like looking into this or even coming to my house to look at the actual proof, then does that mean that you're actually part of it or you're the one that enabled it? Still a crime. Actually, that makes it worse. He's going through a lot. He's gone through a lot. And and tortured in their relationships, likely with their friendships as well, isolated because of that, and the paranoia, because like regardless if your friends or loved ones, like they may have every good intention when they're talking to people, but they may say things or do things that it's going to be taken out of context and spun and used against you. It's happened to everyone I know like that's in this situation. And yeah, these people don't need to hit pieces anymore. They need to be supported more. They're already going through enough.
Like Eric Dubay, is this theory viable in any way? Is Eric Dubay's rise to interweb prominence suspect in any way? We'll be examining all of this and more in typical Mindshock fashion with logic and reason at the forefront, unlike anything else out there. If you want to help support the podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Check the link in the description. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share. Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, and Patreon. Patrons do get priority for case topic, logical analysis, co-podcaster requests. You could also be a guest on the podcast, depending on your tier. Questions, comments, theories, thoughts, suggestions, rebuttals, or debunkings of any kind. Leave them in the comment section. Wow, in all these years, that's the first time I flubbed the opening. That's hilarious. Oh, okay. You can also become a YouTube member right here on YouTube. Help support the channel that way. Okay. Eric Petersman in the chat says, nope, it is not a CIA PSYOP. And just to clarify, CIA PSYOP does not mean flat Earth isn't true. A PSYOP is a psychological operation. In many cases, we obviously, unless you have all the top secret clearances, if the operation is true, how would you know what the goals of the PSYOP are? How would you know what aspects of the PSYOP are disinfo versus truth? So it being a PSYOP, for example, one of my theories, again, I'm not claiming it is true or untrue, it is simply a theory. It is food for thought, for logical discussion, that all of these anti-flat Earth grifters coming out of the woodwork, like Craig of Fight the Flat Earth, all these mouthpieces, establishment mouthpieces like Neil deGrasse Tyson, Bill Nye, all these goofs, anybody that brings up flat Earth, like some of these comedians, they're all part of the CIA PSYOP intentionally defending the globe Earth so poorly as to increase flat Earth membership, because they use the dumbest argument. If the Earth was flat, you would see London from New York hallucinating. There's no such thing as a precipitation. There's no such thing as a visibility index. Like, the level of retardation brought forth in the mainstream by mainstream goofs trying to so-called debunk flat Earth, it's so laughable, it's hard to believe. I mean, call it an appeal to incredulity, logical fallacy. It may very well be. It is. It's hard to believe that this level of goofery is unintentional. Like, it seems like they're intentionally putting forth the worst arguments possible for the Earth being a globe in order to intentionally increase flat Earth membership, in order to destabilize the world, to usher in the New World Order more easily, when there's absolutely no respect for the establishment in any way. They could, when things get destabilized to a certain point, you could roll out martial law and then the New World Order agenda, etc. So that has nothing to do with it being true or false. I mean, it could be either situation. And the PSYOP could still function the same way, simply to bring about destabilization. Monty says they call it conspiracy theory when all they have is the science of the gaps. Well, I would call it the scientism of the gaps, because those claiming to be following science, I mean, how many times has a mainstream goof ever even invoked the word science correctly? They're just talking about scientism. They're talking about blind faith in corrupt authorities. We got a illiterate in the chat. Crisp Kiwi has been crashing out on Twitter for over an hour, indulging their humiliation fetish, demonstrating absolute illiteracy for an hour straight. You got a long way to go, Crisp Kiwi. There are some goofs that have crashed out in humiliation cope spiraled for a week. For a week, 7-8 days. I mean, you're not even a full day. You've only been crashing out for an hour. You got to bring up your humiliation fetish game if you want to beat some of these records. It's hilarious how a lot of these illiterates, they all hallucinate. People have some kind of obligation to answer fallacious questions while they have failed to even grasp preschool level English. They think everybody should just answer their questions when they don't even know that they haven't even demonstrated the basic understanding basic definitions of words. Oh man, you're gonna have to come back for a live, Crisp Kiwi. We stay on topic here. So, Okay, if you want to come back for a live, you can ask a live Q&A. You can ask any questions you want. Here, we're going to stay on topic here. If you want to talk about Eric Dubay and Flat Earth being a PSYOP, feel free. But notice how that Crisp Kiwi goof was so triggered, they had to come over from Twitter to get in here to continue the humiliation cult spiral. Oh, man. I mean, I really do have to say, if it wasn't, I mean, Twitter is better than Comedy Central or any kind of entertainment. I mean, just the amount of humiliation fetishists on there willing to humiliate themselves for strangers online. I mean, it's just hilarious. I mean, for people who find Dunning-Kruger stylings amusing. If you don't find that amusing, then obviously, yeah, Twitter might not be for you. TJ Hoff, you missed nothing. We're just starting right now. Wait, is there... Eric Dubay moved out of Thailand? I thought he was always based in Thailand. I think that was a woman, Eric Petersman. I'm not sure. Like, a lot of these triggered feminists, they don't know, like, the basic definitions of words. So, yeah. I don't know. Could have been a soy boy, maybe. Could have been one of these, people who doesn't know what they are. They don't know what they are. They're very confused, clearly. I mean, they're not even on preschool literacy, so... yeah. But I'm gonna go over... I found one video... that kind of goes over the background, so we'll examine that. But first, do you guys want to go through Math Powerland too? Just to kind of trace the origins? I mean, I do want to... we're going to mostly focus on Dubay, but I believe Math Powerland was the first... somebody correct me if I'm wrong. On the timeline, wasn't Math Powerland the very first guy to come out with Flat Earth? I think he originally just talked about moon landing. And then he mentioned Flat Earth. Wow, that's interesting. Eric Petersman in the chat saying Eric Dubay said he has been in Maine for the last 3 years. That's weird. Next chapter says Eric moved back to the States. I wonder what facilitated that. That might... yeah, I wonder. Does anybody know? Because wasn't he in Thailand for many, many years? Why would he randomly move back to Maine for 3 years and then back to Thailand? I mean, maybe... I mean, obviously there could have been a reason. Work, family, whatever, but his family, we'll actually get into it. His family's actually, and him, he's from Langley, Virginia. He's from the Langley, Virginia area CIA headquarters. And that's why it makes this so interesting. Out of all of the tens of thousands, like the 30 to 50,000 towns or incorporated areas in the United States, out of all those tens of thousands, he just happens to be from the one place where the CIA is primarily based. So that's kind of curious. Well, let's go through Math Powerland. Let's make this comprehensive, as we always do. Let's look at the I believe this is the very first Math Powerland. Or this is one of the first interviews where he mentions the background and all of this. Because, see... is it possible Math Powerland was kind of like a Bob Lazar, where they wanted to see what would happen? So regardless of whether it's true or not, regardless of whether there's flat or not, if part of the psychological operation was to be to gauge public reaction, I do wonder if he's kind of like the Bob Lazar, and then perhaps Dubay is the MK Ultra operative. The Manchurian candidate MK Ultra operative simply jumping when his controllers say jump. But let's look here. So there's no date here. It says between 2008 and 2011. 2008 would be crazy for Flat Earth rollout. But most of the Flat Earth content started popping up on the internet around 2015, like when it was getting popular. It was about 2015-ish. Because I actually remember seeing a lot of that. So, yeah, let's see what we got here. I actually haven't watched this in a really long time. I believe I actually saw this around 2015, this particular video.
Hi. You're obviously attracting a lot of attention these days with your NASA channel.
Yeah, NASA took out NASA television on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and we'd like to know a bit more about you. What's your background? What made you a sudden specialist?
Can anybody place the interviewer's accent? Is that Russian?
With the shape of the Earth.
I can't tell. Definitely sounds European.
well, if I tell you it's a certain thing, and without having an instrument to prove it for over 1,000 years, let's say 500, I'll be generous, and there's no instrument or exploration of the surface, but you tell everybody it's that, if you're wrong, are you going to tell everybody?
Good question.
There's a lot riding here. Everybody who's got a degree in physics, the credibility of every university institution over the past 500 years, the concept of...
Is anyone else still finding it crazy if this was actually 2008? That would be crazy if this was 2008. I mean, even 2011 is crazy enough. I'm trying to really remember, was there some random flat Earth stuff? Because if he uploaded, I don't know if he uploaded this to his channel in 2011. I'm not sure. I'm trying to really remember some of that flat Earth stuff. Perhaps 2013. I mean, I don't think I saw the stuff in 2013. It was probably closer to 2015 for me, but...
Darwinism, evolution, where we're from. If they lie about the shape, everything falls apart. Even the notion of scarcity, especially if there's more real estate, with more land, more resources, more oil.
And what about you? Where do you come from?
Your imagination.
Meaning, what's your background, your studies, what?
Self-taught. High realist painter. Started painting at the age of 3. So before my brain was gotten a hold of by curriculums in schools, I was already well on my way in understanding perspective on the horizon line. I how to draw perspective, three-dimensional reality form. My goal at a very young age was to be able to reproduce paintings that looked like reality, like a camera took it. It's just this weird fetish I've always had since I was very young. When you would look at an image, I would have a photo right next to the image, and I'd really get off on confusing people whether they could decide. And I'd say, which one's the photo? And I would get off. It's been this freaky fetish I've always had to watch people's eyes sort of scramble. They would come up closer, and I'd be, no, 6 feet. You have to decide from 6 feet. In this case, when it comes to a picture of the Earth from space, not only will no one ever go up in a rocket to check out if it does look like that, but it's more than a distance of 6 feet.
So you were hired by NASA not because of your knowledge in astronomy, just because of your talent at painting?
They enjoyed the way I painted things to make things look real, like my understanding of light. How I could take something that doesn't exist in reality. After a certain point, I surpassed needing photos, and I could basically construct things that don't exist, understanding how light would hit form. And they recruited me after a vernissage, after I graduated from political science intelligence at a Jesuit school in Canada, known as St. Francis Xavier. They recruited me at a university exhibition.
So now you have a connection to a Jesuit school openly admitted. Interesting. So in 2008 to 2011, I actually don't even remember. Obviously, the hardcore conspiracy crowd knew about the Jesuits, but Jesuits were not in the so-called mainstream conspiracy sphere. I think Jesuits were also kind of post-2015-ish. I don't know. What does everybody make of that? The Jesuit school connection.
And what was your job like?
Well, in the beginning, it was like we'd like to see some samples of textures and stuff like that, and they started really pushing me into using, different types of spill effects.
So real quick on the timeline, I'm having AI peruse the Internet Archives. It actually says that Flat Earth was being discussed on Usenet groups. So various internet forums and Usenet. Who remembers Usenet? That was actually kind of popular back in the day. Is that still around? That'd be crazy. So Usenet, so it's still around? Huh. Usenet news groups. Huh. Interesting. Interesting. So AI scoured the internet, and it's saying it was around in the 90s. So, like I said, I remember geocentric Earth being discussed on various forums. But, man, I do not remember Flat Earth Usenet groups. I wonder, is anybody still around from back then? I mean, I would imagine it would not have been the younger crowd. So if you were older, like quite a bit older in the 90s, I don't know, maybe you're still not alive today, or you're in a nursing home and you're not on the internet right now. But if you are, if anybody was around back in the Flat Earth Usenet days from the 90s, it would be interesting to have anybody from back then do an interview or share information on exactly how much of it was discussed and what was the catalyst, like what, because I mean, people made jokes. Yeah, the Earth is, what did they say about the Earth being flat? Was it just satire, like, yeah, and the Earth is flat? Like, that kind of joke's been around, like a sarcastic type of joke. Like, yeah, and I'm the Queen of England or whatever, like in that kind of style. People used to say that forever, probably in the 80s, and actually probably for decades and decades and decades. But when was it first seriously discussed as a conspiracy theory? Like, what year in the 90s? And does anybody have any archived actual posts? Because there's just some references to it being discussed, but I don't see an actual archive of the posts. I will try to find it, but I don't know. So apparently, they were alt culture news groups, scientific skepticism. So they were alt.sci.skeptic, also talk.origins. So supposedly it was pretty active, and then it became less active by 2000, which is interesting, isn't it? So I don't see exact numbers here, but they were saying there were hundreds, if not thousands. So there were potentially thousands of members or people discussing, not necessarily believers, but people discussing it. And then supposedly by 2000, the numbers were less, in the hundreds. And then the Flat Earth Society disbanded in 2001. I mean, I just find this very, very interesting, because if this is a Flat Earth PSYOP, or controlled, this is all controlled ops, and the Flat Earth Society would have been controlled the whole time. So, they had their whatever, magazines or whatever. In the 70s, they had 3,500 members between the 70s and the 80s. So they put out flyers and publications, Flat Earth News, like a tabloid. It was $6 to $10 in the US. So I'm actually kind of curious. So, yeah, apparently Charles K. Johnson, the leader of the Flat Earth Society, 3,500 memberships, but then there was a fire at his house in 1997 which destroyed all records and contacts of the members. And then his wife, who helped manage the membership database, died shortly thereafter. And then he died himself March 19th, 2001. And then in 2004, Daniel Shenton resurrected the Flat Earth Society. There was also Thomas Dolby, who put out an album. Do people know this? Thomas Dolby put out an album in 1984. Does anybody know the name? Well, the name of the album was called The Flat Earth, and it was put out in 1984. That's a very interesting year to put out an album called The Flat Earth. This is the cover of the album. Kind of weird. Make of it what you will. So he put out this album in 1984. So it's an English new wave synth pop album. It got to number 14 on the UK albums chart. And the first single, Hyperactive, peaked at number 17 on the UK singles chart. This is kind of wild. This is kind of this is mainstream. This is mainstream, and it even got to number 35 on the US Billboard 200. It got to number 35. This is crazy. So it's the original LP. Side A was Dissidents, interesting name for a track, and Flat Earth, and then Scream Kiss. Side B was White City, Mulu the Rainforest, I Scare Myself with Dan Hicks. And then number 7 was Hyperactive. Interesting. So this album actually got people to look into Flat Earth and the Flat Earth Society with that name. So that's actually pretty curious. Pretty curious. That's quite curious. Huh. What does everybody think about that? So that got people interested in the Flat Earth Society, and the guy that resurrected it credits the album for getting interested in it. Huh. So it officially relaunched October 2009. So that is interesting. I wonder if that was in a response to Math Powerland and his videos in 2008. I think most of them were closer to 2011, but then you had the Canadian Flat Earth Society, which coincidentally established November 8th, 1970 by philosopher Leo Ferrari. I wonder if there's any relation to the car company. Writer Raymond Fraser and poet Alden Nolan. And it was active until when? Until 1984. In 1984, the Canadian Flat Earth Society folds, and then this UK album comes out. You can't make this stuff up. I mean, the coincidence stack here already is so high. I mean, this is so crazy. I mean, this is just weird. This is weird. But anyway, let me catch up on some comments here, and then we'll continue with Matt Powerland, and then get into Eric Dubay. Eric Petersman says, was his NASA employment ever verified? That's a great question. Somebody asked that before, and I remember it being addressed, and I don't remember the answer. Let me look that up real quick. So the first thing I found was just an anonymous post on Reddit from Ditto is Lit. Make of it what you will. We are simply examining information. I'm not claiming it's true or untrue. I grew up near Matthew Boylan, aka Math Powerland, like a minute walk from his family home. His mother was a widow, I believe. He also has a sister close to my age. They didn't specify what the age was. He and his mother were often overheard yelling at each other, and from what I could tell, had somewhat of a rocky relationship. Matt is an incredible artist. I had the opportunity to see him painting in their backyard like he would often do, painting a photorealistic train, which was incredibly good and blew my mind as a young kid. After finishing school, he went on to dabble in stand-up comedy, and it can still be found on YouTube, poking fun at Quebec culture from the POV of an English-speaking Quebecer. He also has a bit where he would go on about how he could brainwash people of the most outrageous stuff by repetition and gaslighting. It would take a lot of searching to find these clips, but I do remember seeing them in the early 2010s on YouTube. That's an interesting topic. I do believe he indeed had contracts with NASA, but it was for touching up for photos they wanted to publish or sell. I don't have any firsthand knowledge of it, so take that with a grain of salt. He does seem to have some far out beliefs, but I believe the whole flat earth thing was more of a troll to prove his brainwashing theory more than something he had concrete beliefs about. I know this is an old post, but it came up when I was searching if he was still around. The last I've seen of him was painting floors and murals in an abstract action painting style, and this post was from 2025. So that's interesting. Let me see what else I can find on any kind of verification of NASA. So he was not listed in any NASA employee directories. So a couple people have looked into it. They just posted that he was a freelance artist who did work for NASA. So that's interesting. So he was supposedly a 1099 contractor. So he would not be listed in any full-time employee directories. But yeah, to date, I don't think he uploaded any of his forms. Yeah, so I don't see any verification or documents. A couple of sites listed him as an ex-NASA operational graphics manager, which is a very specific title. Yeah. So there you go. I don't know where that came from, but that's a very specific title. So as far as I know, nobody has produced any official documentation. Next chapter says, who is this guy? You're talking about Math Powerline? Or Matt Boyland, rather? Next chapter says, yo, watch that nursing home talk. Well, I'm just saying, somebody in like drastically assisted living in deteriorating health, their priority might not be to keep up with Flat Earth, even if they did discuss it on Usenet forums in the 90s. Jason says, wasn't Math Powerland in a TV sitcom or something? I don't think so. Stephanie says, photo or painting act he did actually woke me up in 2015. Jeff says, I'm always suspicious whenever artists work on projects. I consider them part of the opposition. Comedian is an artist, just in my opinion. Eric Petersman says, in one of his stand-up videos, he'd use a projector and show two pictures of planets and Earth side by side. Ask the audio which was a picture and which one is painting. He's definitely talented.
Stuff like that, they already had an idea, like they seem to already have this system of textures or ways to make textures. So they asked me to, I guess I was just filling in on somebody else's work, like a predecessor who went into retirement. And once in a while I would get calls from a gentleman who was the head of the graphics department, and he'd ask me to change the color on things or the lighting. And then what they would do is they would send me like a drawing or an architectural drawing of like an instrument that might be scouting the surface of a celestial body, be it a moon or a planet. And then they would ask me to transpose these objects on the textures, and they would give me certain directions of like the light is at this angle, this time of the day, at this intensity, and then I would have to make the shadows congruous to the information they would make, and I'd have to make it look real.
And can you explain to us what happened between your steady job that you just described and...
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm just getting back. I actually did have to walk my dogs for the first walk of the day. This is for Bruce. I don't know if he's already got into it, but that sounds to me like a French-Canadian accent. So he might be being interviewed in Quebec. He is from there. And so that's likely. But it definitely, to me, sounds like a French-Canadian accent, and I would know. I'm born and raised in Quebec.
It was on and off, and it was freelance.
Okay. And what happened between that period and now? What is the turning point that made you totally dissociate yourself from what you were working for?
Was about a year after I...
So nobody knows who this is interviewing him? I mean, if that's a Russian accent, I do find that a little curious, to say the least. But
I met some of the people I was working with over the phone and on computer at a function, and I think it was kind of like somewhat of an initiation to this division of NASA. And there was one gentleman there that didn't work for NASA, but he was like a consultant for the U.S. Defense Department, GPS, and NASA. And he was a physicist and a painter. Very interesting combination. He was a well-known astrophysicist and a photorealist painter. Most people in the mainstream know him as a well, not even the mainstream, but in the physics circles, know of him as a scientist, but they didn't know he had this knack of photorealistic painting. And it's something they kind of kept under wraps. With me, however, I was a very good photorealist painter. I would say I was better than him. And I was better at recreating textures that don't exist. And there was a party at somebody's cottage in the Hamptons. And the power went out, and it was about 1 o'clock in the evening, and there was one gentleman who was friends with this guy. He was this consultant for the U.S. Defense Department. Now, this guy was basically a friend of one of my superiors and a colleague.
so what I'm finding right now is that Matt Boylan supposedly had a YouTube channel called Guy Waking Up in 2008 to 2009. And those channels were all deleted or removed, and the latest archives are from 2011, verified from him. So that's actually kind of interesting, isn't it? So I wonder if that was like if this is all a concerted effort PSYOP, I wonder how much testing it underwent in the 90s and early 2000s. And then the official rollout was 2011, culminating in the 2015 explosion all over the internet. There was a couple of articles actually written. There's the Flat Earth Phenomenon on YouTube by John C. Paolillo on firstmonday.org. And in this, it claims that there was nothing, there's nothing, no video.
Okay, so I don't know if I want to share our conversations because it is private. It makes me feel uncomfortable, but I want to correct records because I did send this video, full disclosure, to Math Powerland, obviously, because I think that if there's going to be a video out there, it's only fair that since we've communicated and such, and that he may be the OG flat earther here that like got this information more viral on the internet, that we give credit where credit is possibly due. And so this is what he just messaged me, like literally not too long ago, like literally within the last hour, I think. And yeah, he has sent me so many interesting things, time lapse, looking towards Chicago from Michigan, so many things. But again, I wasn't looking at his stuff at first because I thought that like I didn't connect him again to the community when I should have, because I literally shared his videos years ago. And but because of like the whole like other stuff we were talking about, I felt like I was getting targeted more so during that period, because when we were talking, we were on WhatsApp and stuff like that. Like, crazy things were happening. People that I was talking to, they were getting their accounts hacked. They were getting their channels taken down, like literally within, and we were communicating all around the same time. And I'm like, okay, this is just way too much for me right now. And I just need to process all this stuff. He has a different take on Eric Dubay. And this is probably well known, but again, it's not, I don't like to get secondhand or thirdhand information. I do like to try to get it from the source. And I do appreciate the fact that he responded back. And so I'll give you a bit of what he's saying. And this is regarding Eric Dubay. And so he says, yes, Eric Dubay is a paid flat earth plant sent in to take my videos. They were at a modest 130,000 views in 2014. And on his YouTube channel, it got to 1 million. And then they try to fuse flat earth in 2015 with anti-Semitism. I could see that. He was called out by me. Okay, so he's already been called out as getting funded through Amazon, Blue Origin, IMDb, paraphrasing, plagiarizing me, my routine in a book where he claimed to make hundreds of thousands. He was to be a handler, and I was forced by both him and Mark Sargent. Wow, okay, because again, I've talked with Mark Sargent before. I've done podcasts with him. He's the one that saw a live stream I was doing, and then we had a podcast after that a couple of years ago. So that's interesting. Again, I don't know the facts. I'm just saying what he's saying, and he's one of the OGs. And he said, Mark Sargent, another more Hollywood plant to choose either or I choose neither. What? Another more Hollywood plant to choose either or I choose neither, and explained that they were assigned to come into my work. They were assigned to come into his work. I created a three-way war, and that is how Flat Earth exploded, as both were trying to avoid Antarctica as a no-go zone to hide more warm climate geographies and extended lands where treaties with French, British, and these other principalities would never be disclosed as a condition to allow Columbus to sail across the Atlantic. Don't forget how stupid everyone is. Okay, someone get into that stuff. It talks about Marco Polo trade block with China. Can't fathom the ocean without GPS. And again, controlled by the government, unfortunately. Okay, so that was in 2015, and so like over a decade ago. So what you are sending, and the whole point of Dubay is what you are sending. Okay. So it says, now watch this video, the one I'm sharing now too. This video, blow up and Eric fulfill his FE takedown assignment like Jaron Campanella. Again, there was just me in 2007. FE is a perfect bulwark against wholesale acceptance of behavioral modification via chemical injections or unknown penetrations. The fact that the Earth is no longer the fact that the Earth no longer has the force of legitimacy being a known photograph from space, but rather a POV no one will ever experience as activated eyesight rather than lobotomized. Realize. Yeah. And then, yeah, more interesting things. I don't want to like overshare because again, I do feel like it's a little bit of an invasion of privacy, but I'm doing it because because I want to get the truth out there. And if people are going to talk about these people and I have the opportunity to actually communicate with them and give their insight as well, then I think it's only fair. And I would love to do a podcast with him or even Eric Dubay or Bruce.
Those
That's
before
from his mouth. That's
2011.
from literally Powerland's mouth, literally within the last 30 minutes. And it does happen. So again, I'm not saying it's outside the norm for people to create a community with a stronger influence, more people working, on a narrative and messaging, etc., that will monopolize the a movement or a whistleblower, knowing that this is likely going to come out more, and again control it from the inside, just like the Flat Earth Society. No one that's a real flat earther is actually ever like sharing stuff from like the Flat Earth Society. It's a controlled opposition page, has been for decades. And anyways, not to ramble too much. And he does have an Instagram page, and Mindshock does get into it later on. But he posts regularly. He talks about other things as well, not just the Earth. And I think he's stopped doing that for a little while. Because again, he's already posted so much. He's onto new things.
For Matt Boylan's 2011 videos, there were no videos. So just mentions on forums, etc. So that's interesting. That would make Matt Boylan the first official Flat Earth video maker.
And basically, they started to, I think the conversation started turning around like something was like GPS coordinates weren't working or something concerning Antarctica. And so then he made a crack. This gentleman was working for them both as a consultant. So it was like, I was like, well, somebody should go out there and, just and check this thing out, see if it's still functional. And then somebody made a quip to the effect that, well, if he goes out that far, he ain't coming back. And I asked, like, what do you mean? Like, well, why wouldn't he come back? It's like, if he can go back on his GPS doesn't reach that far. And then I was like, well, why doesn't GPS reach that far? I mean, is it too cold? And it's like, it's because it's flat. And they started laughing. They all started laughing. And my superior had quite a weird smirk on his face. He was watching me to see how I would take all this. And there was no lights on, and they had candles that they just lit. And then basically he took out some chalk and it was like a cement sort of plank floor of some sort. And he started drawing out the Earth, all the continents exactly, but how they function, everything, physics, science, how everything we understand in movement of energy and objects in this new or hidden science, hidden from the public, how everything is caused by temperature, as opposed to like this very evasive notion of energy with Einstein and Hawking, that there's three ingredients to make a universe: energy, mass, and space. It was temperature. Temperature was why there's mass and energy.
And you believed him right away?
It made a lot of sense. But he basically started to avert everything. And they were kind of laughing, but they were they were listening to him. He seemed to be kind of like this guy who was just this weird, I thought he was some sort of nut that these guys, he was basically just picking apart everything that they know or that they say every day in the office. He was basically explaining the flat Earth and how it works. And he literally drew the UN flag. And I thought this is a joke on me. This is some sort of initiation to see if I'm stupid or see if I'm going to buy this. I thought they were fucking playing with me to see if they could convince me it was flat. And what was creepy about the whole thing is that they were more laughing at me for not getting it. It never went back to it being a ball with these gentlemen that night. It might have been that at the office the next day in front of everybody else, you know, the underlings, but, and then for weeks, I couldn't think, everywhere I went, every time I saw the picture of the Earth, it was like just a logo. It was a painting. It was a graphic. And then I started to scrutinize the actual images of the Earth they claim are photos. And it just started looking silly, like a cartoon. Like, why is the water so blue if it's reflecting the blue atmosphere, but I could still see the brownness of Africa? Like, wouldn't I be seeing Africa through the blue atmosphere? Like, why is the green and the brown of continents so clear with the blue of the water when the water of the oceans is just reflecting the blue atmosphere? And how come the whole thing, being 3 parts water, isn't reflecting the blackness of space? Like, I started seeing all these flaws. And the more and more I tried to prove this guy wrong, or just to find out if they were joking or pulling my leg, the more I realized they weren't joking.
So what does everybody think? So what are the options here? He's telling the truth, but just because he's telling the truth about the story doesn't mean these NASA people are telling him the truth, right? So if he's not lying here, then that's what they told him, similar to Bob Lazar. And so he's simply repeating what he believes to be true, even if it's not true. Or it is true, or this whole story's not true, and he made all of this up, regardless of the shape of the Earth. Let's do a poll. Where does everybody think? What does everybody think about Boylan so far?
I will say that there are things that I have been intentionally holding back on saying regarding multiple conversations I've had with people on Telegram, on Signal, in person, that I'm still thinking that maybe I should have, but I haven't. And that includes with Jaren. Again, with that as well, it puts a target on my back even more, right? And but even with and again, I don't like calling out controversies within the community, but I feel like it's not my responsibility, but I feel like I'm compelled to, because I do have access to talk to people that are legitimate people, that are coming from a good place, that only want the truth out. They only want to help. They're putting out really good content and information, and they're trying their best, and they're getting their content stolen, their work stolen from people within the community, and they did since very early on. And so it's not going to be comfortable for me to say, but I'm just saying I don't know what's true or not at this point. Again, I'm just throwing it out there. But even with Jeff, Geoman, where, and he's talked about this as well, it's been years. Again, he doesn't want to bring it up anymore because he thinks as well that it causes, again, discord within the community and puts more of a target on our back, right? And that's, and it's a balance, but possibly took Jeff's work because they had worked together. No, sorry, not Mark Sargent. It was Dave Weiss. And again, I'm not comfortable even saying that because Dave Weiss, I have met. I do like him as a person, and I think absolutely that he shares a lot of good information, and he works really hard every single day to do that. Is he taking people's work, or has he and gotten credit for it, and used that to at some point destabilize the community from within, like other people have already done? I don't know. We'll see if that happens. But at this point, there may be the possibility, again, people like Jeff and people like Math were the ones that were initially had the biggest influence of getting the research together in a coherent, logical way, get the actual evidence out there, and the declassified, unclassified documents, even from NASA and aerospace engineering programs, et cetera, et cetera. I've even shared multiple government documents where they say it's a flat stationary Earth. I know that sounds crazy, but I have over 44 government documents, declassified or unclassified, again, fully legal to have, that I've shared. So imagine what they're not sharing, right? If that's out there in the ether, and you can get it back from the Wayback Machine, because again, it's archived now because they want to bury it. And so, yeah, Dave Weiss, there be a possibility that he had taken ideas or content from Jeff and used it to build his program? I don't know. I like both of them, and I think they both share good work. And I think there is a bit of that does happen within multiple different agencies and companies and whatever you want to call them. And yeah, what can be done with that is if they actually got together again, had a podcast or even talked in person or whatever, and made amends. And then maybe if there was the fact that Jeff may have contributed a lot more to certain programs or apps or information, that he gets a bit of a piece of the pie, right? Or some recognition, and to be a platform to help him. And so I feel like that's reasonable. Yeah, so it's hard. So even with math, like, right, saying that, since 2007, or at least 2011, and even that's years before a lot of people were picked up traction on YouTube. If he in fact was one of the OGs or the OG to get it out there, and again, this is from I think 2011. It's saying between 2008 2011. I think it might be from 2011, but even still, Eric Dubay came up with the stuff. I think it was 2014 2015, and then it blew up. So it helped. So again, I don't know. I think Bruce is just, it's still running, but he's just looking, he's doing some research on something.
So the poll is up. Is he telling the truth? Is he lying? Or are you too triggered to answer? Which would be very understandable.
I like that he put that in there.
Given this is one of the most triggering topics ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know why.
Jeff says, I can't shake the feeling we were allowed to know what we know. It seems a bit like all the revelations are still controlled in some way. Yes. I need to do an interview with Austin Whitsitt, because I mentioned before, I asked him on one of his lives in the chat if he thought the rollout was intentional. And he kind of said that it obviously was very suspicious.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
The exact rollout, obviously, if this is a CIA PSYOP, obviously it would be a multi-pronged rollout. Mm-hmm. So you might potentially have a Bob Lazar type. You might potentially have an MK Ultra Manchurian candidate type, and anyone and everyone.
Just like the information that they just shared in the U.S., they had a lot of Christian leaders, representatives that they were doing alien disclosure meetings, like regarding, and again, this is to move people away from God, the creation. It's to make people believe in aliens and Project Bluebeam, all this propaganda that the Werner von Braun's of the world created. And yeah, so I can absolutely see that. And of course, they're going to like leak information, declassify information first, make it really, 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 really hard for people to get access to, because then you get the people like Matt Powerland, well, like myself and Matt Powerland, I guess too, but he was put into that position, right? But we are the ones that are like going to be the first people to get access to very important information before the public, obviously, right? For so many different reasons. And then it's like within our communities, again, this is why we're on the lists, we're sending it to other people that would benefit from this information, right? Like whether it be on like the Earth, whether it be on the moon landings, whether it be on COVID, whether it be on 9/11, you name it, right? What's going on with Russia, Ukraine, et cetera. Like people like myself are the first ones to know, because it's our jobs. And the reality, more of the reality. And then again, it's like disseminating that information. I hope that makes sense. And then from there on, it's the telephone game, right? And we're seeing it in full display. And then they're able to spin and shift the narrative, right? Because they already know that we're going to be releasing the information first, obviously within our networks. And then when that doesn't work, we're going to go public throughout history.
One in between as well.
So it's
So
very
wow,
controlled from the start.
71% think he's telling the truth. 0% think he's lying.
Oh wow.
29% too triggered to answer. Justin Johnson.
In case you missed that, because I was yapping, sorry for that. But that 0% of people think that Math Powerland's lying. Very interesting. I wonder how many people were polled.
Says everything is by design 100% scripted. And you know what's crazy? Even if that's true, it still doesn't tell you what's true or untrue, right? So if it's part of the script to roll out misinfo, it's part of the script to roll out true information. I mean, but that doesn't necessarily, even if it's all part of the script and all the world's a stage, it's still that's, I mean, it is important to know that. What do you think the masses are not allowed to know?
God.
See, the weird thing about Tartaria. Okay, let's get crazy here. Let's get mind shocking. So Flat Earth seems highly suspicious in the way it was let out of the bag, per se. Tartaria strikes me as something entirely different. Because all of the buildings can clearly be visible, you know, the photographs that were always around, it almost seems like they did not want the true narrative of Tartaria out, so they co-opted it. So when they started noticing that people were noticing, it was just disinfo, co-opted dump all across the internet.
Yep.
To try to muddy the waters of the mud flood Tartaria. And you can kind of see this in my series, The True History of the World. I only did 2 episodes so far, but I do have like another 3 coming. The whole Tartaria thing seems like an entirely different situation than the Flat Earth thing. Justin Johnson says discernment is imperative. Ryan Shee says, why tell us? Is it to distract
Matthew Johnson.
us from something else? Well, yeah, they usually have more than one target, so let's not fall for false dichotomies. It seems like there's more than one goal for a lot of this stuff. Jeff U1P says, mixing truth with sneaky programming is highly effective and less detectable. Yes. But also, look at the response to it. Like, the response to Flat Earth was completely different than the response to Tartaria.
Well, even with everyone getting so triggered when people talk about this conversation, and again, it's not hurting anyone. It's not killing anyone. It's none of that stuff. It's just like trying to look at what's out there, the evidence, the data, etc. That's been out there for a very, very long time on this topic specifically. And but people again, they get more triggered with this than talking about what's going on in Russia, Ukraine, Israel, and Gaza. What's going on in Canada right now with these massive freaking far left radicals running our streets at this point, and our government. There's so much more that which should be more triggering to people. The fact that our country is collapsing for Canadians, I'm talking about here. The fact that our sovereignty is being eroded. The fact that there's a new world order being ushered in. The fact that we're paying more taxes in order to fund our collapse. There's so much going on that's actually harming us, and people don't even want to talk about it. But as soon as you bring up flat into the conversation, even people Agent Smith themselves, and it's not even hurting anyone. And this is where I'm saying, this is where I think that this is where people are on the mark on this. The amount of PSYOPs and people that have been pushed up again in order to discredit it from the inside. And again, because there's a lot of, I'm just assuming it's because there's a lot of money in this, and it keeps a lot of power and the wealth in the hands of, again, these selected few who they're just inheriting wealth. It's just so fucking lame. They don't even deserve it.
It's just really interesting. And who remembers that series? Was it Survivors of Atlantis or whatever? That seemed to be kind of a catalyst for the overdrive in trying to control the Tartaria narrative. Ryan Shea says, did they do the same thing with Flat Earth? People were figuring it out, so they co-opted it. Well, in recent years, it's weird. When YouTube kind of exploded on YouTube in later years, like post 2015. So did they control it? So was Math Powerland a test in 2008? Then they terminated the test, and then they rolled it out officially in 2011. And then in 2015, once it got super, super, super popular, they had to make sure they still controlled it. So even if they were the ones that rolled it out, they didn't want like all of these people that were not under their thumb. So then they want to own the people on both sides, both the flat earthers and the anti-flat earthers.
And the Christians. Yeah, okay, so I just wanted to say, so this might be something that has been the plan for 2030, or the Project Bluebeam agenda, would have it to be where the most credible people, as we perceive to be the most credible people within the community, all of these communities, like again, like FE community, other communities, including the Christian community, yeah, if they're gonna fall for this like alien stuff and all this other shit, then that is gonna be because of people like them turning around and then going against what they've been sharing for years, right? So if Eric Dubay all of a sudden became a globe earther, that would be huge in the community. He would influence a lot of people to get out of that movement, way more so than even Jaron. And I think, and then even with Mark Sargent and Dave Weiss, if these people were to flip at some point in the next few years, then that again would be very destabilizing within the community. I mean, Jaron was enough, right? And Patricia Steer, these people that people were already questioning. But again, there was really good content that Jaron was putting out there. And so again, this is where you can control the narrative if you're sharing a lot of good information, but also putting in information in there that is intentionally deceiving people or getting them off track.
One of the theories.
Like if the Pope, right, for example, started saying, okay, yeah, like aliens exist, like God, we were wrong about Jesus and God, like, come on, how much of a blow would that be internationally? And saying, we have the proof, just like they did with they're talking about Bob Lazar, and I think to Stephen Greer in certain cases as well. They give people who are really credible, very brilliant people, they give them fake data, fake images, fake surveillance, all of that stuff. And then they tell them it's true. And then they're like, let's see what happens with this. It's ridiculous. And then they go out and they start talking about all this stuff, right? And they think that they're like super credible and, you know, they're giving data, and they're not.
CJ says hiding flat earthers is the number one priority. I don't know about that. I mean, it seemed like up to a certain point, like once it started getting out of control, maybe they didn't want it that out of control. Like, look what happened with Bob Lazar and the UFO stuff. I mean, it was crazy popular, but it didn't take everything over. When did they, according to Mark Sargent, his words, they took down the scoreboard for searches on flat Earth. They took the whole scoreboard down. So when every single kid is looking up flat Earth on their phone in school, perhaps they didn't want it to go that crazy, and then they needed to rein it in. They wanted it just Bob Lazar level with mostly adults, you know, older kids. They didn't want practically the entire school age population to be discussing flat Earth full time. It's actually calmed down a little bit, I would say, in the past few years. Not a lot, but a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, even if there are more flat earthers, like it's been a little more calm in the mainstream, comedians making fun of it, like it being mentioned at almost every podcast. Like, even if there are more total members, more flat earthers in their, you know, smaller communities, it seems like it's calmed down a little bit in the mainstream.
It has.
Justin Johnson says, the people who woke us up to flat earth are in the club. Good cop, bad cop. We are living a script since a reset, his story. I still don't want to fall for false dichotomies. I think there are genuine people out there.
Yeah, there are genuine people out there that are...
Wow, that'd be wild. CJ says they want to move people into underground bunkers that think they are on Mars. I haven't heard that one before. That's an interesting extension. Is that some kind of extension of Bluebeam? And we never really talked about breakaway civilization, because there is a subset of conspiracists. They were a lot more popular before Flat Earth that actually believed that there were people physically living on Mars right now. And if Mars is a realm on this plane of existence that's simply being reflected above in the sky, perhaps that is true. But yeah, I mean, this is pretty crazy. This is pretty crazy, but I do think it's very interesting. Wow, that was in the Epstein files? Wow, we got to do more episodes. We got to do more episodes on that. I mean, I saw a lot of cloning stuff in the Epstein files, but
What do you think you were the one that they spoke about? That they told that to?
I think there was some projects coming up down the pipeline, the Mars, a few things that they wanted to know. I think the whole thing was to see how I would play ball. Like, let him in on it. He'll ask more questions, and we'll study his reaction. And if he has the proper reaction to be part of the deception, we'll let him in on the next project, the next contracts that we want him to falsify, the next images we need him to counterfeit.
How many people were told the same information in the
These
company?
guys were all privy to it, but these guys were all high-placed people at NASA and the U.S. Defense Department.
Any other colleagues of your level that were aware also?
No. Everybody at my level was doing graphics, doing prototypes, and just they would never believe. And what am I going to do? I'm going to tell them? Well, then they're going to tell them. So I was really alone in this situation.
so maybe he's a really good actor, but the way he answered that question kind of seemed genuine. Because he didn't just say yes or no, and he didn't make up a bunch of other stories. He recited, if he's not lying, he's reciting what his thoughts about it are.
Situation. And I did more and more research into this. Every time I came up to where to prove an equation, it was supported by an event that was created through mass media caused by NASA. Be it the moon landing, be it this, and then it was the moon rocks, and then Van Brouwer going to Antarctica to pick up rocks like 2 years before the first moon mission. And the rocks just looked like, and then it came out a couple of years ago that John Glenn, when he went on this world tour to sort of like do a PR campaign, hey, we went to the moon, and he gave rocks to the Queen of England, and she gave those rocks to the museum in Amsterdam. And up until a couple of years ago, they found out that was just petrified wood. It wasn't a rock from the moon at all. So, I mean, like, everything's starting to come out now, but it's said once in the newspaper, almost like it's a revelation of the method, a he on everybody. But
that's also curious. He's talking about revelation of the method in 2008. Not that wasn't known. I mean, obviously, Bill Cooper talked about it. I don't remember Alex Jones saying that exact phrase, but Bill Cooper did.
And how did you deal with having the information in your head and continuing to work on the projects you were hired for?
Well, after a while, extensions changed, numbers were dead, and I was not acknowledged. I didn't get through. I mean, even people I worked with, the agency said that they never even worked for them. So the whole thing looks like it's just like, so I look crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm telling you, like, the guys I work with, when I called back, didn't, like, the agency saying they never worked for them, which I pretty much imagine is what they're saying right now.
This is also interesting because he's leaning in, making it even more personal. Usually when people are lying, they'll maintain.
Okay, because someone mentioned the flat Earth being in the Epstein files. A lot of this I did miss. Like, I was listening to it, but like I was also doing other things. Okay, so full disclosure. And so I just checked to the JFK files. I want to go right to the source, the ones that were released, and so I'll just share again, just like the first one. It is mentioned a couple of times. I haven't read this yet. It's mentioned 9 times just in this email. Again, I pulled this directly from the site. So if you go back here, just for full disclosure. Okay, now it won't let me. But anyways, I got this from like the released documents. And so, okay, so progress is merely decreation. And then he's saying, entia non stunt multiplicanda praeter necessitatem. We must not assume the existence of any entity until we are compelled to do so. This principle is purely destructive. It takes something away. Oh, actually, I'm not even putting this up. Sorry. Just remembered. Okay, so this is a PDF from the Epstein files. Number Echo Foxtrot Tango Alpha, EFTA, 027-11279. Okay. It takes something away. Decreation, a person can doubt only if he has learned certain things. He can miscalculate only if he has learned to calculate. The advances of civilizations are gross exaggerations, a function of the language with its built-in commitment to the accretive historical model. Flat Earth, round Earth. It isn't a 100% accretive advance from 1 to 2. 100 assumes and decreates 99. Round Earth assumes and decreates flat Earth. Invisible assumes and decreates visible. Events assume and decreate matter. So maybe what he's saying here, I don't know, is that round Earth decreates flat Earth, and it might only be, so it decreates 99% of the truth. I don't know. I'm just reading this with you. I don't want to take things out of context, so that's why I'm reading the whole email. The relativistic universe assumes and decreates the mechanistic universe. Progress is always a transcendence of what is obvious. Decreation, is it simply that progress in any aspect is a movement through changes of terminology? Nomana, land, or better said, a no signals region extends between past and future. A no signals region extends between past and future. Yeah, okay, like the point of singularity. We're living in the present, sure. Perception is reality. Universe is finite, no space-time continuum. Okay, so a voice of the past, the reliving of an experience. Don't call it memory. Is it possible to remember? A seeing into the past. It does not show us the past any more than our senses show us the present, nor can it be said to communicate the past to us. Universe is finite, a process of decreation, the passing of the created into the uncreated. Decreation, the created passes into man-made invention. Reality passes into description. So even going from the creation story to evolution, I think is a devolution of society, and it's incorrect. The end of the waste systems, the generalizations of previous epochs. Decreation, getting through the history of words. We must not assume the existence of any entity until we are compelled to do so. The point is that unnecessary units in a sign language mean nothing. The accretive principle, the predominant way people live, like the old-fashioned idea of making a living, amounting to something. Stuff starts at one point and goes through accretive increments of time, of space, of history, etc., to get to another point. Universe, no accretion, no accumulation, no development, no continuity. Rather before nor after, neither behind nor beyond, neither here nor there, neither inside nor outside, neither from nor to, no direction, no between, no communication. Universe, a verb, not existing in time, a universe, but time itself and not the time of past, present, future. Time undifferentiated in activity, not time of being, universe, a decreated world, moment in time and of time, a moment not of time, but in time in what we call history. This is what I mean. Sometimes people, it's verbal diarrhea to make them sound so fucking smart and mysterious. And again, I don't even know who wrote this, but I'll get to it in a minute. But again, it's in the Epstein files. And for without the meaning, there's no time. And the moment of time gave the meaning. It sounds like someone talking to like cult leaders. Anyways, awkwardness. The only way to fit the uniqueness of insights into current laws. Awkwardness, stymied by perception, by knowledge. Awkwardness, primary advantage thus gained is that experience is not interrogated with the benumbing repression of common sense. Universe is finite, objectified expression of activity, the assumption of positive negative abstractions particular to the subject predicate proposition. It's verbal diarrhea to me, I'm sorry. Anyways, the assumption of the process of subject predicate. A lot of big words that mean nothing put together. No ultimate subject. The unity is unitless. Oh my God. Where you end and I begin, or any else is, infine. On such dichotomies depend. There's no one left to draw a line. Subject, predicate, noun, negated, syntax, confused. A noun is the name of things. I don't know why I'm starting to read it like this anyways. Why after a thing is named, I'll write about it. The major accomplishments of science is that it has never produced an objective fact, never proven the existence of an object. No nouns, no objects, no people, no propositions, nothing. Living with the growing terror of nothing to think about. Undifferentiation of activity. No division of activity into parts. No differences, no between. To be without description of to be. It is impossible to pay less than 100% attention. This is the conversations these people have, and they think they're so freaking smart. Anyways, it is impossible to do less than you do. Universe verb do, always 100%. The do of do. The do of do not do. Activity, always 100%. The activity of activity. The activity of non-activity. Experience, always 100%. The experience of experiencing. The experience of not experiencing. You can't do less than you do. Doing. It's like Kamala Harris is like reading this. Anyways, doing. Complete, obligatory, always 100%. Whether the focus is part of the whole, the totality, or the selection obscuring the totality. Call it being. I am not is doing. I think there might be copy and paste in here as well. Anyways, call it non-existent. Again, jarbled. Call it thought. Do with a final elegance, not to console nor sanctify, but plainly to propound. Undifferentiated activity. Call it life. Call it man. Talk of gods and man destroyed, the rights to know established as the right to be. The ancient symbols will be nothing then. We shall have gone behind the symbols to that which the symbolized. Unambiguous language for objective descriptions. I want to make sure I'm not on mute. Okay, good, I'm not. Anyways. Where I live at. Expressed by statistical formulas. All the pictures which science now draws of nature, and which alone seem capable of according with observational fact, are mathematical pictures. I'm just going to get Control F because this is kind of like nauseating me a little bit. Okay, the round earth followed from the flat earth. Before the round earth, all thoughts, concepts were the product of the sensibility of life on a flat earth. The earth was flat until the point of creation of the round earth, which is not to say that the earth was flat until we realized that all along it had been round. So it's saying that which is not to say that the earth was flat until we realized all along that it had been round. Okay, sorry. The information on the previous page is false. The previous page is the flat earth. This page is the round earth. The earth is round. Okay, so here you go. So Epstein or whoever this is around. I don't care. Anyways, this page is being read. If we talk of flat earth producing a round earth, the round earth is doing the talking. If we talk of the previous page, this page is doing the talking. The previous page as an entity is the invention of this page. It can exist only on this page. It can live only on this page. We must not assume the existence of any entity until we are compelled to do so. Without this page, the previous page could not have existed as an entity. The previous page exists as an entity only in through decreation. This page decreates the previous page. Decreation of the thing described. Assumption by this page of the description of the things described. I want to vomit. But anyways, this page describing the previous page, decreation. This page invents the previous page. Round earth invents flat earth. Decreation. This page invents the previous page. Round earth invents flat earth. There is nothing more to invent, nothing more to play, no creation, no becoming, no pretension, no intention. That is how the show is run. The independent mind, unking domained, I don't know, might as well be none, no one. Not the intense moment isolated with no before and after, but a lifetime burning in every moment. And not the lifetime of one man only, but of old stones that cannot be deciphered. And whatever you can do, there will be no difference. And whatever you will do, there will be no difference. And whatever you could do, don't do, should do, and whatever you do, there will be no difference. Okay, where else? Okay. Progress is merely decreation. We must not assume the existence of any entity compelled to, because the advances of civilization are gross exaggerations, a function of the language, which is with its built-in commitment to the accretive historical model. Round earth, flat earth. Round earth assumes and decreates flat earth. Okay, so I think I've covered them all for this one. I'm trying to go back. I'm going to stop sharing for a second to see if I can go back because I got this off the fucking page, the Epstein. Anyways, maybe I have to go back in. Okay. I didn't have to stop sharing. Sorry about that. Okay, so this is justice.gov, Epstein file, library, I mean. So you go to search full Epstein library. All I did was search flat earth. So the first one I talked about, this is dataset 11. And so now I'm going to go to dataset 9. So it's EFTA 011-93978. Oh, my eyes are just, like, this light is so bright. This is blue light blocking glasses. Oh, it burns my eyeballs. Anyways, this is not even helping. No, they're still dirty. Anyways, okay, let's pull this up. Just so there's full disclosure. Okay, so with the late John Brockman, I'm just going to control F. Just type in flat at first to see what it comes up with. Okay, so, okay, so he was getting it from a book. So this is the book, I guess, that's being quoted. That's why when it was copy and pasted, I looked at it. Okay, so flat earth, round earth. It isn't a 100% accretive advance from the two. Okay, so here we go. That's where that email was coming from. It was by the late John Brockman. Harper. Someone's trying to call me. Let me see here. I don't know who it is. There's just a few people that I... Okay, I can't take that. Dedication. Okay, so since the 1960s, John Brockman's pioneering activities have been diverse and multidirectional. Okay, so this is who they're quoting. Okay, so there's one more, but I have to go into it individually. So, okay, so back to the Department of Justice. Okay, so library. And also Mindshock, like the videos he's sharing regarding Eric Dubay, I did share it. It's probably been about like 3 years now, but everything that he's trying to share and more, I did cover that, right? And including like the home, literally everything. And so I don't remember the title of that video, which is annoying. And I don't want to further cause division in the flat earth community. I just want to get the truth out. Okay, so the last one that I see here, data set number 10. So EFTA 01785-215. Okay, so this is Cora Digest, Thursday, July 14th, 2016 at 3:11 p.m. to Jeffrey Epstein's email that he was using for this specific account. So subject, how was Donald Trump as a student in UPenn? Answer, my mother was in his class at UPenn, class of 68, and in reading AAR equals 3. Again, I guess he's giving attachments. But in this, apparently it talks about flat earth. So, okay. What are current flat earth theories? How did they come about? And then we've got here Quora, track. Let's see if there's anything I can get out of this. I want to see if I can pull it up. Okay, so it's not giving me that. Let's try again. Anyways, I'm going to keep on doing this, but so I'm going to look at these links because there's a few. Cora, and again, Ghislaine Maxwell, again, she was on Reddit and stuff like that under another name. Actually, there's a few documents in here, but it's all Cora. Job. Okay, so what haven't we found? Sorry, why haven't we found the exact value of pi yet? This is kind of interesting. It's talking about pi, maybe talking about phi. I was responding to a commenter who said they had proof that the Earth does not revolve around the sun because, okay, so they're actually bringing in some stuff where it is questioning. Okay, my mother was okay. So let me see here. What else is here before I get into flat Earth? Job Bowman, PhD candidate, MR imaging on phase contrast. Talking about how many views they had. So why haven't we found the exact value of pi? You can simply find the volume of a sphere where the radius is known using water displacement, then using the formula. Are swords essentially bad weapons? Sorry, aren't swords essentially bad weapons? That's kind of weird. Eric Lowe, classics major and historical European martial arts instructor. Anyways, I'll go to flat Earth. Oh, is there only one result? No. 1 of 1. Okay, so that's it. That where it's being mentioned again for the files that were released, and again only from this email address. So, oh, sorry, I'm really close to the screen. Okay.
Maintain their posture or even lean back and away.
Justin, sorry for only catching that now. I hope you have a blessed and wonderful day, and hope you come back.
He's coming even closer so you can see his eyes even more clearly. Now, either he's a really good liar who's studied all of this psychology, or he's telling the truth. Ryan, she asks, where is this guy now? So, yeah, supposedly he has not been active or online in anything. Stephanie says, Math eventually spiraled with personal problems with his ex-wife several years ago, and I think his videos were put up on purpose to make him appear unstable. Jake, Flat Earth Jake mentioned something about that as well.
He is still online, but again, and he has gone through a lot, right? So you can't just dismiss that. Oh, he went crazy. Everyone is bound to go crazy when they've been the OGs on sharing information, getting screwed over all the time, being on friggin' lists, being harassed, all of these things, your work taken from you, all of this stuff, and then again, divorce, and then your ex-wife starts saying all these things about you. It's just crazy, right? And so that's my point on that.
That Powerland kind of seemed a little bit unhinged, and that nobody gave him credit, and he was really the first one. And Mark Sargent also talked about it, because I think the documentary Beyond the Curve or whatever, they originally wanted Math Powerland, maybe, and then he either declined. There was some kind of an issue, and then Mark Sargent kind of basically took over where Math Powerland stopped. I wonder if Jake would be willing to do an interview with me, because we did go back and forth a little bit on his comments. He thinks Jake, Flat Earth Jake, or formerly Flat Earth Jake, I think does he call himself Jake the A-hole now? It's kind of weird. Because he had some really logical takes. Some of his videos were the first I've seen. Powerland and Flat Earth Jake were some of the very first Flat Earth videos I ever saw. I think I saw those before Mark Sargent's. And yeah. And Jake seems like a really cool guy. Like, he plays music at nursing homes. Yeah, again, with the nursing homes, they keep coming up. I mean, he seems like a genuinely good guy. So I don't know what happened with him and Powerland, but
what they were going to say about me was the same thing. I mean, go ahead, call him up, ask if Matt Boylan, the comedian, ever drew paintings for NASA.
all right, so I actually just found an archived video here. It's labeled the first flat Earth video by Math 2010 of the NASA channel. So let me play this video. Supposedly the first video was actually 2008, 2009, so I don't know if those were the comedy videos and they weren't specifically flat Earth, but here is this one, which was labeled 2010. So let's see this one.
Producing on this nebulous texture here, the sun rising, our sun, the moon of Ipapopa, a distant moon they just discovered in 2008 off of Jupiter. It's like the 14th moon. And this is our sun rising Ipapopa.
Yeah, hold on, my camera. What's the planet name?
Ipapopa.
Ipapopa?
New they found it. Okay, so this is me with the light.
I don't know, call me crazy, but there seems to be, like, just the body language and the demeanor of Math Powerland is completely different than Eric Dubay. Call me crazy. Eric Dubay kind of seems to match an MK Ultra programmed individual, whereas Math Boylan just seems very genuine. Is he the Bob Lazar of the situation? I don't know. There's just something very genuine about him, as opposed to Eric Dubay. Eric Dubay literally seems to be reading from a script in like this weird monotone, and like it's almost like he doesn't match the script. So some people allege someone else wrote the script, and of course the graphics that he had in his videos were pretty impressive at the time. I mean, they were better than anything on like National Geographic or Discovery Channel. Like, for some of the animations, they were really incredible. Like, where did he have the budget to do that? We're not talking about now with AI and all of that. This was well over a decade ago. Justin Johnson says he's Jake the Awake now. And Don't Shoot the Messenger says Matthew Boyland is still posting on Instagram. What does he post about? Yeah, I don't have Instagram.
You can zoom in there. Okay, if you want to be.
That is really good, though. Look at that.
Hold on.
Just because he's talking about Math Powerland's page. This is his maiden page now. Math_Powerland. He's got over 4,000 posts. He's got almost 6,000 followers. Should be way more than that. Following over 2,000 people. Lifestyle artist and motivational speaker for the smart ones. Parallax floor. He's got a link to something here. Followed by a few people. Anyway, so yeah, he does posts all the time. Not a lot of flat earth stuff anymore, but to the Republic we the people, to which it stands. Oh, I didn't put it up again. I bet you I didn't. Yeah, I knew it. This is his page. I'll scroll up again. So here you go. And he's got Art BNB, Power Clay, Warware, Bug Out, Fast Medicine, other. Let's see what he has older. Oh God, my eyes are just. Story Power, Rorschid, Brooklyn, Palax floor, Astoria, New York City, Scottsdale. Okay, let me see here. Trump left JD Vance succession instructions. Should something happen to him? White House official. So here we go. Meta blocking me from showing art, painting a pool. Innovation WEF. No more new ideas. Censored. So he gets censored a lot still. Shadow banned. As the middle class are eliminated, can't afford gas, rent, or food, and finally evicted. It's better than Iran getting a nuclear weapon. Oh my God. Said the rich man living off taxpayers exactly paying his gas. Now, how stupid would everyone be if nukes don't actually exist? And that's how they eliminate any rising middle class that can challenge intergenerational monarchies and their extended cousins. Very interesting. So yeah, he's still active. Let's see here.
All the water, all the timber, all the minerals, all the oil, and a small population. Let's say Canada. Well, you want to wear down their ability to fight. When COVID-19 came, I was like, and I looked at Canada from Mexico, and I was like, Canada's health department just made Canada's health like crippled, 2 years behind the rest of the world, because they locked down the gyms and going outside and going to the beach and taking walks with curfews and isolation and stay at home and watch TV. Close down your businesses, your health food stores, but they kept the liquor stores open. They kept the big chain stores with all their GMO food open and all the processed food and all the big fast food chains, where I saw people getting like thrown down on the ground if they weren't wearing their mask in like McDonald's or Tim Hortons. And then if you try to go out for a walk, they threw you down on the ground and then put you in a facility, and then you died with a fucking tube in your mouth. Then they took this experimental thing that they never revealed the ingredients of, poked it into everybody in order to get back to normal. They did an abnormal. You got to do this abnormal thing to get back to normal. You will never get back to normal by conceding to abnormalness. So you got a whole country. The rest of a lot of countries like Mexico pretended they were doing, World Health Organization. I got my mask on. Yeah, I got my vax. Here's my paper. They high-fived their doctors. All fake and registered with the WHO as that was a successful vaccination. They don't have any side effects. Yeah, because they never jabbed them. The doctors were handing out fake vax passes in Mexico to foreigners and locals. I remember I was desperate. I was trying to get out of the country that my son was taken from me out of Mexico. And I was like, they still have the mandates. And I was like and then they said, no, you're not a permanent resident. I was like kind of there, like in exile in the process. I didn't get my papers yet because I didn't pay the bribes. I do things by the book. I was like looking at people stupid, like, no, everything's filled out properly. Here's the money I paid. Here's the payment. And it's like, it just stalled. Like they were like, you gotta give me more money. It's like, you rat. And it's so ratty that it's not only you have to pay and bribe to be a resident, it's like then to not get vaccinated, but they're ready to put the real product in you that costs money, costs more to fake that you got the product. That's how wise these people are. This is how corrupt they are. They're wise. They went the other way with being, this whole thing's bullshit. Let's just cash in. So you got like Canada, a military that's been compromised, a bunch of people that didn't play hockey or go to the gym for 2 years. They just disbanded the Canadian Snowbirds. That's like a, what do you call them? The Blue Angels here in the U.S.? Like this like performance fighter jet squadron of like aeronautic acrobatics, and the Canadian version, the snowbirds. Every country's got like these the Harlem Globetrotters of like military aviation and dogfighting aeronautic acrobatic circus. The Canadian version is disbanding. That there is like elbows up.
Yeah. And the irony is, I actually know people that worked with the snowbirds, and there's even an incredible female pilot that was part of the snowbirds the last several years. And again, look what you're doing. Like, you're dismantling it, and so you're actually, again, like, not helping at all with women being embraced in certain positions.
Hands behind the neck?
Based on merit.
You're under arrest, Canada. Come with me. You're charged for treason against North American regional security and accepting bribes to undermine the area.
Yep.
With communism.
Mm-hmm.
And foreign radicals from hostile nations to the U.S. It's perfect. I said it in 2020. I mean, Canada's going to go bankrupt. And it's going to be absorbed by the U.S. Or the whole thing goes bankrupt because Canada goes bankrupt, and then it becomes one regional. We don't want that. We want trust me, you want the Donald Trump hegemonic America first empire. He said America. He didn't say United States. Read again. Last I checked, the United States is called the United States. It's not called America. America is called America. From the top of Greenland to the tip of Argentina. He's got Argentina in the back pocket. Now he's going for Venezuela. $40 trillion. Well, there's the debt. Gone. He just bankrolled more debt. The U.S. is able to go into infinite debt because of its acquisition of resources. It could go 80 trillion in debt now. They just resuscitated. I mean, it's obviously going to get to 80 trillion faster once it goes over 40 trillion. It's now surpassing the yearly GDP of the country. So now it's going to be racing towards 80 trillion, but you got about 15 years before it gets to 80 trillion. And that is going to continue, the soft power of the United States dollar as the world reserve currency. So yeah, it's a bit of a bull in a china shop, but don't forget, it's a bull. And that's fine China. So it's like he can throw his weight around here, even if he's got like skirmishes with speedboats with missile. It's like, fuck the Hormuz. Like, you go and do your incursions, do a bloodbath, but now, once they do the false flag here, or the flag here, or Israel, or Iran hits the U.S., you still got to say, look, you did this. And that's the play you get to make with the power vacuum. You get to you get sucked into, there was a nuclear bomb that took out New York. We got to go fight Iran because the media says it's Iran. You're a traitor if you don't. You got to remember, this whole thing needs to come back here and focus on, you don't need Europe. You can make the cheese here. We have enough Europeans. You got wine in Napa Valley. We got the recipes. We can build. Look, they're going to build an Arch of Triumph in D.C., the likes of Paris's. We can do that here. Look at the Mormon church in Utah. Look at the Gothic cathedral in New York, St. Patrick's. Look at some of the structures, the Art Deco in South Beach. There's enough ingenuity waiting to be released away from that boring cardboard strip mall, 24-hour fitness, Panera Bread, Chick-fil-A, Dollar Tree, Home Depot, repeated over and over again with CVS across the fucking boulevards. We're sick of it. Bring it in tight. I know you're waiting for all these things to go belly up and turn them into mosques. Listen, folks, if you topple, what are these little fancy things on the 24-hour fitness gym? Well, when the gym collapses, it's a mosque. I see you.
Or a Leering Center.
We see you. I texted Rubio. I said, listen, man, Stop fucking around and get everybody back here. Because if something happens to Trump, it's gonna be Peter Thiel and Rubio. Sorry, JD Vance and Rubio. Okay. Or it's RFK. I don't think so. RFK is going to move to Secretary of State. If something would, God forbid, because that's the last thing we need in the middle of all this shit. The guy who started it all, something happens to him. And apparently there was another gunshot at a conference the other day. And now they're not even bringing it up. This is that many. Now it's like they might have had staged situations and copycats, but why didn't you bring up the latest one? So it's like there's if you're staging these things to build ballrooms or to get public sympathy for policy or whatever it is, well, sooner or later people are going to think, the water's warm and you're going to have some nut bars out there. They're called copycats. So somebody might have sold this to them as like, we got to do this to get you elected. We got to do this to do the ball. What? Let's play like with the conspiracy theorists. That's a dangerous game to play if that was happening, because you're going to have real life people thinking, everybody's like, I'm going to try. That's the problem. So I don't know if they would go that way. So they're either legitimate assassins, or it's a very dangerous game to play with this many, even with the theater, you're at a dinner banquet of sociopaths in the bunker after you've all decided to annihilate and depopulate. You're inhaling your own exhale in the bunker. That's carbonic acid. That's not healthy. And you're at the dinner table with a bunch of other lunatics that just did mass murder of their own people. It's not sustainable. Living underground with a data center, they're figuring this out. That's why the hantavirus and spraying people and injecting people is the way to go for these people. If they're like that, for education, entertainment, educating people about types of entertainment purposes. Okay? Disclaimer here, I'm a comedian. And this is a movie, and you're in it, and everybody is from central casting. They told you. For entertainment purposes. Enter the taint. That's the back part of the mirror. Look at the reflection. The reflection is the society in the moment. But Canada is, when you really pull back from 2020 to now, they crippled all the men and the defenses. And they filled it with a bunch of fucking people who are really self-entitled to the area that have no attachment to the customs or the history of Canada, that are from India, Pakistan, Middle East, and they're going in there. It's like, if it was so fucking good, your culture, your religion, why did you come to Canada? They go, that's the big question they can't answer, because we like it here. We just want to. So you just want to
what? What do you
take?
Want to do?
Not give, not respect, not carry, continue, and respect the area you came to. So you're kind of bringing what you, from that hostile place you left. So therefore, when I look at regional North American security, we got a big group of people here are not stable for the entire project. And we might have to intervene in Canada. This is going to be the ideological roadmap, what I am putting out today. You're going to hear this more from Tucker Carlson. You're going to hear this more from people during the elections coming up, or whatever event that's going to stall them or suspend them. You're going to hear what I just said, because what I said, they gave it to me as a political scientist and an independent observer on not a silver platter, on a gold platter with a gold trim and the American flag and space that could be tossed over for a couple more stars. It's now or never. This is the time here.
And there's more. So he's saying a lot of truth, like you know, and he's not getting a lot of views. He's not getting a lot of support. He's getting shadow banned for sure.
Kind of bizarre to see like all these women that have been kind of like on the.
Oh, okay, that's Mother's Day.
So that's the UAE. That's UAE, if you don't know about it, is Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Scooby Dooby. Now sending their toys to blow up Iran. So you know that tower's coming down. The world's tallest building, and you just know that they're doing Tower of Babel again.
We'll see. He posted that 2 days ago. And there's more. I don't want to make this all about just his videos. Yeah, so if Bruce wants to ever do a podcast, do it.
This is rough.
This is definitely an old video because he wouldn't be having that playing with all the copyright now. There he is.
I mean, we could really get the lighting exact, eh? Oh, yeah.
There he is, obviously, here. CJ says there's all kind of books published exposing flat Earth in the 1800s even. Yeah, but it's a lot harder to know about the existence of those books without the internet. CJ says the very first movie ever made was about going to space. Was it? I don't think it was. Was it the Great Train Robbery? You're talking about the first feature film? Which movie? So I don't know if this was part of the original video, because if it was, then it probably would have been closer to 2011 then, but it says 2010 in this label. But yeah, so Math Powerland made those types of videos and the comedy stand-up, and supposedly they were the very first Flat Earth videos ever made on the internet. So there is a Math Powerland on Instagram. It says lifestyle artist and motivational speaker for the smart ones. Don't see any flat earth stuff here. Apparently you can access Instagram with Facebook. I did not know that. Let me see if I can see his posts to see if this is him. Definitely looks a whole lot older. He has white hair. I also wonder where the name Math Powerland. Powerland? Yeah, it's lagging like crazy. Nothing is loading here on his Instagram. Anybody that follows him, so what does he post about? I'm assuming no flat earth stuff, because I didn't see any of that come up. CJ says a trip to the moon, 1902. Oh, I remember this. Oh wow, yeah, this is crazy. Yeah, it's a weird movie. But officially, the first short film is The Waterer Watered in 1895. And then also The Mechanical Butcher, which was a sci-fi movie, 1895 as well. And then 1896 was The Haunted Castle and Post No Bills. Then The Fairy of the Cabbages, which is weird, that was 1896. Often cited as one of the first narrative fiction films. And I think Mind Unveiled did that for some of the Cabbage Patch Kids. Yeah, it was really weird. Super weird. But anyway, let's get to Eric Dubay here. I don't even remember where this video was originally published, but fair use. Again, Greg, whether CIA PSYOPS doesn't mean the information is fake or false. I mean, this is kind of a weird thing to say. His fiancée is the owner of a private school, Rhythm of Art. School helps NWO make people retarded. Doesn't seem like a professional video game. She is the daughter of a general in the Thai Royal Army. Okay, well, that's a little different. So Thailand is under military rule. Prime Minister is a general in the Thai Royal Army. Eric's fiance is literally part of a ruling elite in Thailand. And this is made many years ago. Is he still with her? Is he married? Let's see if there's any information on that. And why did he move to Maine? He says he's living in his home state, but a lot of these records show that he's from the Langley, Virginia area. Huh, that is kind of weird. So yeah, his latest video is Back to Asia, I'm Moving. So yeah, I can't find anything on his current family history. Oh, wow. So the school, the private school of art, is in a Royal Military base? I don't know if they provide receipts here for this. They provide a lot of receipts, but I don't know if they provide receipts for this particular claim. So Eric Dubay presents himself as an anarchist and fighter against the NWO when in real life he dates them. He has close connections. He's with part of a ruling dictatorial regime. Behind that Thai regime is CIA and NWO. Bold claims here. Bold claims. Oh, here come the receipts. Okay. Okay. Doing some homework. No reviews. This is kind of messed up. I mean, why are you calling the kids retards? Now, obviously, there is a dumbing down of society, etc., the de-evolution and public education kind of, government-run public education kind of turning everybody's minds to rot. That's true, but, you don't gotta call them retarded. They look like they're having fun. They look like they're having more fun than American school kids. Interesting. Eric Petersman says he said in a video a while back that the Eric Dubay in Virginia is not him and that he only visited Virginia twice. Well, let's see the receipts here, whether they have photos with his parents and records for the parents and their names and photos with him and those particular parents tied to Langley, Virginia or not. Okay, so apparently that is him and her, but their current relationship status unknown.
Divorced. And he's been living in the US for a few years.
I mean, I don't know who made this video, but they're really going at this school hard. They look like they're having fun. They look like they're having fun. So far,
this is right from Eric Dubay's. I don't know why I didn't think about doing this earlier, but this is right from his X account, Eric Dubay. He posted this 2 days ago. He said, I'm moving, and then as of next month, it will be 3 years that I've been back living in my home state of Maine. Here is the divided states of AmeriCorps. So he posted a video. I don't know where he's moving, but anyways, he's posted a few other things. Yeah, and so he, it's been a few years, like I thought. I don't see any posts with him and his ex-wife or wife, but I think they're divorced. I remember looking into that. And yeah. Still very active on that. Don't see any pictures of his ex-wife, what I think to be his ex-wife. Confirming that it's been a few years that he's been in the US. I don't know where he's going to move yet, but I'll get to that maybe. Let me just see here. Okay, let me see. Okay. Oh, back to Asia. I'm moving. Okay, so 2 days ago, as of next month, it'll be 3 years that I've been back living in my home state of Maine, here in the divided states of AmeriCorps. Okay, let's see.
To reconnect with family and friends, truly get to know my parents again as an adult.
All right, I will share it. Because if you're going to talk about these people, again, it's good to have their sides mentioned as well. All right. Before I shared, I just wanted to get on this page. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so this is Eric's page on Instagram, Eric Dubaz. And back to Asia. Posted 2 days ago.
As of next month, it will be 3 years that I've been back living in my home state of Maine, here in the divided states of AmeriCorp. It's been great to reconnect with family and friends, truly get to know my parents again as an adult, revisit people, places, activities, and other memories from childhood. Ultimately, however, my time back in the States has been filled with reverse culture shock, disappointment with the average Joe's mentality, with the quality of food in the supermarkets, with the country's crumbling infrastructure, rising taxes and inflation, an incredibly toxic two-party political division, disgust at our foreign wars and policies, and fear of what the billionaire oligarch tech overlords leading the country are planning next. If there was a martial law scenario, longer lockdowns like in 2020, mass power outages, war, or other crises, real or manufactured, that caused the supermarkets to empty and distribution lines unable to refill store shelves, the vast majority of Americans would starve, especially those in climates like Maine, unable to maintain sufficient farming due to
And it would be more so in Canada.
5 months of annual snowfall. In Southeast Asia, for example, the tropical climate and agricultural societies living there have abundant food growing all year round, along with local distribution methods and markets that much more easily manage during crisis situations. Most Southeast Asians either grow their own food or buy directly from farmers who do at local markets. Supermarkets filled with mass-produced food products are secondary to local farmers markets, and even if all of them closed simultaneously and never reopened, it would have very little effect on the people. It's not just future fears I'm concerned with, but also the day-to-day experience of life in America. The entire country has been designed since the times of Henry Ford to be a nation that travels everywhere by car. Strict zoning laws enforced for residential, commercial, and industrial areas have made it so convenient, walkable, livable, quaint towns and cities like those found all over Europe and Asia are practically non-existent in America. Everything is separated by huge parking lots, uncrossable stroads, generic strip malls filled with the same repeat stores, and endless suburban sprawl that's more liminal than livable. There are barely any third spaces left, and getting to and from them often takes more time and stress than they're worth.
Yeah.
Compared to other nationalities, I see Americans being more stressed, depressed, angry, and divided than most, and I've even felt it within myself being back here. It truly feels like the American dream is dead and slowly decaying into a nightmare. So before the sleep paralysis kicks in, I'm planning to move back to Asia in a few weeks. Having already lived in Thailand for 20 years, I've decided to try life somewhere new. For the past several months, I've been busy learning my third language, the native tongue of the new country I'm planning to stay in. I've sold everything I've accumulated since moving home, and I'm back to my minimalist, freeing lifestyle of being able to carry everything I own in 2 suitcases and a carry-on. Since I'll be traveling and working to get settled into a new life in a new country, I'm afraid my regular weekly upload schedule will be affected for the next month or 2. I'll post an update and have other new videos as soon as possible, getting back to my regular uploads. Those of you who have been with me since the beginning of my time on YouTube know that I've consistently posted new videos every single week for nearly 15 years now, and never taken a break, a vacation, or any time off. When I finish and upload a new video, I'm immediately researching, writing, and preparing the next one. I didn't allow ads on my videos for many years. I give full versions of all my books away for free. And I didn't start a Patreon until just 3 years ago when I moved back to the States. I say all this not to boast or brag, but as justification and context for my next request. I have recently had more and more people joining as free members to my Patreon, while paid members have unfortunately continued to slowly drop off. I never did reach my original goal of 200 paid patrons and could really benefit from a bit more support right now. If you have enjoyed, been enriched, or enlightened by my work over the years, I would really appreciate your consideration of becoming a paid member. And thank you so much to those loyal patrons who have stuck with me. Without your generous help, I just couldn't do this. If Patreon isn't your thing, I also have YouTube memberships you can join, or a PayPal donation link at ericdubay.com. My 10 published books are available in most online bookstores, but there are only 2 places to purchase them that really benefit me personally. For English language versions of my books, the best place to buy them is direct from the publisher Lulu.
Yeah.
See links in the description box.
And I've done it, right? And he does have free versions all over the internet. And I've still done it, and I've donated, etc. And I don't care what people think about him. He's shared a lot of good information. And I mean, if he's some kind of a plant, right? Like he'd be making more money off of it. Anyways. And so, yeah, I would support him.
Below. For French versions of my books, my French publisher is working hard translating all 10 of my books en français. With high-quality paper, pictures, extra merch, and even personally signed copies at www.ericdubay.fr. So can anyone guess which country I'm moving to? It's a country with incredibly kind people, a very interesting history, a beautiful countryside, and developing cities. Any specific hints would give it away, but if anyone has a hunch, I'd love to hear it in the comments. Once I get settled, I'll be excited to share some of my travels, experiences, and insights with you guys here on the channel. I imagine some of you may even be living in this country. I'll be staying in the capital city, where there will hopefully be enough demand that I can continue teaching private yoga and Wing Chun lessons like I did for over a decade in Thailand. I'm also working hard behind the scenes, collecting, collating, and rewriting what will eventually be 300, 400, or 500 proofs Earth is not a spinning ball. Having received everyone's excellent contributions, I can now guarantee that we will definitely have enough to warrant this new, improved, expanded edition, which I hope to make the definitive book on the subject. Thanks again so much for all the support, and I'll be back with an update and regular uploads as soon as possible.
What do you think? Just because he's reading doesn't mean that he's it's like that it's scripted by another person to deceive people. I oftentimes too like read my what I put together, and even notes, I read it, right? And it comes across as scripted, but I'm the one that scripted it, if that makes any sense.
I haven't seen anything that shows the explicit dumbing down of anybody. They're just showing videos having fun. Okay, this looks a little weirder, but this definitely looks more Americanized. Fair use, obviously. The heck are they doing with that vacuum cleaner outside? Oh, that's his fiance with the vacuum cleaner? Okay, so they're catching on to the TikTok brain rot culture, but oh, that's his sister-in-law. Well, not his sister-in-law if they're not married yet. Yeah. Okay, this is kind of weirdo art that reminds me more of like American European weirdo art. What is the point of vacuum cleaning the street, though? Is there a point to that? I don't know. But whatever, they're having fun dancing. Who cares? Okay. That is a little weird. If you're a general in the Thai army, I mean, who knows how many points from the top he's removed from the leadership of the country. What would you think of a random American hooking up with your daughter? Unless the CIA, it's this kind of CIA arranged relationship. So he's going to their family dinner. So how does one become the fiance of a general's daughter? Like, I mean, call me crazy. It's a see, if it was like some kind of poor farmer, I mean, maybe they would want some like relatively wealthy guy. And again, you know, middle, even poverty level could potentially be really impressive in Thailand. It used to be really popular in the 90s, especially 90s, early 2000s. Like you could live like a whole year in Thailand on like what was it, like $50 or $500 for a whole year. The American dollar was quite solid back in the day. But if you're a general, I mean, wouldn't you want someone Thai for your daughter? I don't know. Are they making fun of him? Who doesn't belong in this picture? The white guy? So, yeah, so does he know the prime minister? He knows the highest ranking officials? That's kind of crazy. Does that change anybody's opinion of Eric Dubay? Like he's dialed in to the royal family of Thailand? I mean, does anybody find that weird? Okay, interesting. Eric Petersman says in the chat, he said he was never married to her, only dated her, never engaged, broke up years ago. He claimed she was abusive to him. So is that why he moved to Maine? Because he didn't want to be in Thailand anymore and get the wrath of these generals for the ended relationship? Justin Johnson says they are all playing a role. If you're big time, then absolutely. It's just kind of weird. It's just kind of weird. This random white guy, Wing Chun, he did Wing Chun and yoga. Wing Chun is pretty awesome, but like, how does one date the daughter of a general and get dialed into that society? That is kind of weird too, because yeah, the Thai regime has been known as corrupt with human rights violations, and he's supposedly, if Eric Dubay is posing as anti-NWO, pro-human rights, how is he dating? I mean, obviously, you're not going to hold that against the daughter, but are you going to be going to all the family dinners and interacting with these people? That's a different story, right? Like, you know, if you really care about the person, you I don't know what people do in that situation. They run away together or they keep their relationship secret, but you're going to openly hang out and eat with these people? It's kind of weird. Jeff says, Dubay looks like a guy who shouldn't be trusted. If you were street smart, you would see it in an instant, but I can't prove it, so take it like, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. His mannerisms, his speech patterns. Not that he's lying per se, but it's a total difference than with, like, let's say, Math Powerland. Math Powerland seems like a genuine guy too, but I don't know. I kind of forgot what Jake said. Yeah, I don't want to, bring up some rumors or whatever. But Pasture of Castle says she must have one hell of a karate chop. his daughter rebelled. Yeah, that's fine, but are they going to really invite the guy to dine with like the top generals, the top brass? Like, what kind of a general would just instantly shut that down, right? If it was open, like, yeah, I could understand her rebelling and sneaking around with some American guy. That makes total sense. But be invited to like just be bringing him around to family dinners with top generals and brass of the military regime. I mean, that's just a little weird. Like, so they all go on national TV. Interesting. Interesting. I would say Dubay would seem a lot less suspect if he dated a Thai girl who was not connected to the military regime, but I don't know. I don't know.
But I mean, the thing is, he's a smart guy, and for whatever reason, that like however they met, right? Like he's very impressive in person, I'm sure, right? So for someone there who's also part of like a family of people who are smart, like her father's a general, etc. So obviously have an educated background, then he would be very impressive. I can 100% see that.
Paster of Castle says Powerland was a clown. He has no body of work. Was a total plant. What do you mean? No body of work. His art is incredible.
Yeah. And no body of work, like for years now, and especially if he's the OG, he's put a lot of good work out there. I just showed one of his videos. Like, is anything in what he said in that video, like, does that make him a clown? Like, he was literally bang on with a lot of stuff that he was sharing. This is what I mean. Like, when people keep on being so consistently negative, and I'm not saying that Bruce is from Mindshock, he's not, but like with Eric Dubay and Matt Powerland, if these guys are legitimate guys that are just being, again, discredited from like friggin' everywhere by design, then like of course, like if you're gonna go like a decade or two of being beat down by everyone, it must be infuriating. Because again, for me, it's only been like 6 years that I've been trying to like share this information publicly, because I wasn't going nowhere for me to try to reach out people one-on-one with this stuff. Even people, again, that work started working with the space programs and other things, like even in the US, like fuck, try to give them a moon landing video after years of working with these people, like a higher level stuff. And just fish kisses, just thought I was out of my mind. And it's like, just look what I'm sharing, right? And I think the video I shared, it was definitely one of Bart Sibrel's, and I think it was a funny thing happened on the way to the moon, because that one, he's done a few others. He's done Astronauts Gone Wild, and that one was good too. But and he's done so many other videos too. So anyway, but he's not a flat earther. I'm talking about Bart Sibrel, but he is a moon landing denier, and he has a lot of proof. And maybe that's what's keeping him public too, right? With Bart Sibrel, like even going on Joe Rogan, because he has a lot of proof about the moon landings. Again, he's been at this for years, and so have other people, and he's reached out to them, and they've given even more information, including deathbed confessions and all of that stuff. Like, he has so much good work, Bart Sibrel. Maybe because like he does dismiss the flat earth stuff, that is what's keeping him public, right? Because he's bang on, really over the target on one thing. But if he was over the target as well as he is with moon landings regarding the flat earth, I don't know if he would definitely be shadow banned in his videos, removed and stuff like that for sure. And so, or it could be, again, keeping him alive, because again, he's sharing good information, but it's still possibly that he's misleading people, possibly regarding the shape of the earth. But it's still, his information is still good about the moon landing, so I'm not going to throw out the baby with the bathwater just because we're not on the same view on the possible shape of the earth.
So they're on TV and magazines, this whole family. See, okay, in this case, so if you're talking about like the absolute top, like fashion photographers and all the biggest magazines, yeah, they're obviously dialed in. When you're talking about possible imitators, like replicating shots from like famous magazines without knowing what these symbols mean. See, I don't like some of these lower tier magazines in other countries. I'm not sure they're in the know. It almost seems like they're just, imitating shots they saw in more popular magazines. But who knows? This guy's really obsessed with this art school. Oh, man. Let's get more into Dubay. Like, the art school's the art school, whatever. All art schools are kind of weird.
Sure. It's another long video, but I like to be thorough. There's so many, again, it's like just little clips, and people are not
So
getting...
they made pancakes one time with a Masonic one eye? Okay. I mean, I don't know what that proves. Slappy. I mean, this guy really, really looked into their social media history. Okay, so he visits her at the military base, so he has to have some kind of clearances, obviously. Okay. Also, is it, just call me crazy, but Eric Dubay, he's so, like, slender and frail looking for an MMA guy, or, like, a martial arts guy of any kind. I mean, yoga maybe, but even for Wing Chun, I mean, it looks like he has no power, but maybe he does. That is kind of a weird... So, okay, his fiancée just doesn't know anything about him, or his anti-NWO stance, like, she's posting "Long Live the Queen of England"? That's kind of weird. That is kind of weird, though. So Eric Dubay, one of the top flat Earth guys, is dating a globe earther. Not that that's impossible, but it just it does seem a little weird, doesn't it? What the heck? 13 years ago? This post doesn't make any sense. 13 years ago? Wait, she knew him for 13 years? Or what is this? This is Eric Dubay from 13 years ago? He's like a kid? What? What is this post? He almost looks like an Eminem wannabe in the first shot. Was Eric Dubay a wigger at one point? How many times is he going to repeat this? So he's also hanging out with her grandma. I mean, how close were they? I mean, if they weren't engaged, I mean, how close do you got to be to meet the whole family, having dinner with the generals, even meeting the grandparents? I mean, that's not super casual, is it? Wait, I'm just catching up on some comments here. Hold on. Jeff says, wait, hold on a second here. Ryan Shea says the tie-in to the royal family is odd, indeed. CJ says the shape of your spine has a lot to do with the consciousness you're able to tap into. Now, this sounds interesting. Man, we got to do a podcast on that. That sounds very interesting. Where did you get that from? Is that yoga? Yeah, Jeff says that would be the joke of the regiment. What general would let his daughter date or marry a flat earth moron in quotation? That is funny, right? Like, how is the royal, how is, like, I don't know how many degrees he's removed from the top royal family, but he's equal rank to the prime minister as a general. He's hanging out with the general's mother, or whatever, the general's wife's mother. Oh wait, Eric met my grandma. So that's her grandmother. Yeah, okay. So that's either her father or mother's mother. He's hanging out with the grandparents? Like, it's almost like a bad sitcom, the joke of the regiment. Yeah, what did everybody else think? Like, what did this general's co-workers, like the other generals, and I'm assuming he knows the prime minister himself, they're both generals, and it's a military dictatorship. Like, what do they all think of the daughter dating a flat earth Wing Chun yoga guy? Like an American, like this flat earth white guy. Are they just joking around it at the water cooler? Like, what is there? Like, they're a serious military dictatorship that violate human rights on the daily. What did they think of Eric Dubay? I think this whole thing's like a sitcom, right? Like, what is this? What is this? CJ says, I hung out with a 4-star American general at the yoga retreat I worked at. What did you talk about flat earth at all? Yeah, this guy's really obsessed with this art school. I mean, the art school is less suspicious than all the military ties. Wow, interesting. So, wait a second. After Eric was exposed on Facebook, so basically he was Eric Dubay on Facebook, and so then people found out that was the same Eric Dubay that makes the flat Earth stuff. She changed her name and hided all her pictures. Eric hides his life now, not from the NWO, but from the people in the Truth Movement. I don't know. Is that the face of a guy you would trust? She actually looks really good from that angle. I would not have called her attractive from any of the other photos, though. Definitely not. No offense to Eric Dubay. Yeah, she looks like a completely different person in all these other photos. Man, this guy's tracking her travels based on the social media. This guy did some homework, I have to say. Definitely did some homework here. I mean, this is Thai royalty, or Thai connected. I mean, obviously they're going to be traveling the world. I don't know what that has to do with anything. So he's dating Thai elite with the military dictatorship of Thailand. I mean, that is kind of weird. So he made a video against the military the same day he went in the home of a Thai general dating his daughter. These are the lyrics here. Yo, I made a decision like 10 years ago. I'm on a mission. I wrote it down. Here's what it says, bro. I'm going to end the NWO on my own. Yeah, I know it sounds pretty egoistic and optimistic, but someone's got to do it, and I'm a mystic. I saw the future, and when they finally find and kill me, that's okay. So he kind of was a wigger, huh? He kind of looked like one in those old photos, like he was like an Eminem wannabe. But he's dating the Thai daughter. Now, what is the potential here? Is anybody going to argue? Are there any Eric Dubay fanboys that are going to argue he was only dating the daughter to get more information on the Thai military elite? So far, I haven't heard anybody argue that, but I wonder if anybody's going to argue that. Greg says the state of your fascia will dictate your entire energy system. Wait, what is Rolfing? Rolfing adjusts your neck, can change your personality. Rolfing? Structural integration. Okay, we definitely need to do a podcast on this. Rolfing is the holistic system of soft tissue manipulation and movement education. This sounds very, very interesting. Yeah, I did not know this. This needs a deep dive. Hopefully CJ and Greg will join us for that one. CJ says he's probably like most guys and just got whatever girl he can get. Okay, you can argue that in the United States. In Thailand, they really do like Americans. You know, there's none of that there. I mean, as a tall, rich American, rich by their standards anyway, and possibly actually rich. Yeah, no, he would have had quite the pick, which it seems he does, right? Because if he got Thai royalty, that can't be easy. Jeff says if my daughter would came home with that guy, shake my head. But imagine you're a top general. I mean, like you're a top general, and your daughter brings home a wigger, a flat Earth wigger, a scrawny beanpole flat Earth. No, it's not even that. Like, I really want to hear the conversations that the other top brass had about this general's daughter and Eric Dubay. Like, what were they saying? Especially back then, to be a flat Earth wigger back then. I mean, now, like, so many people, I mean, it would still kind of, like, even now still, but yeah. John McClure says being a yoga teacher is sus alone. How is that sus? Greg says Rolfing is rooted in Eastern wisdom. Yeah, I got to get on this. I got to do some Rolfing deep dives. That sounds very interesting. It clears up your energy channels or something, releases factors impeding your sovereign awareness. Yeah, I could totally see there being something to that. Darth Mocker says, too bad he can't get along with the other flat Earth guys and girls. CJ says he's probably mogging over there because he's seen his higher status, so he got with a girl with good, clean.
Okay, so Rolfing, structural integration, often referred to as Rolfing, is a form of hands-on bodywork designed to realign the body's connective tissue, fascia, with the force of gravity. Anyways, by organizing the body's structure, Rolfing aims to improve posture, alleviate chronic pain, increase mobility, and significantly boost physical energy levels. Anyways, that's what Google comes up with.
Energy, family stuff, whatever, hygiene.
For past some of this stuff.
Virginia, and I think they worked for the government in Langley, Virginia. I don't know. I don't think it said CIA.
But it was parents now.
It was some kind of government entity in Langley, Virginia. I'm trying to find. Let me see if I can find it again. So I see a new video here that's showing him. Wait, hold on. Maybe this one's new, so it does show him living in Maine now.
He's getting there.
So there was a $100,000 vaccine settlement or something. Man, I can't find that old video.
I have it on my Rumble, but again, it's from 3 years ago, maybe longer.
Maine, Greg, because then he would have been 39 in 2012.
He's in his 40s. Early 40s, I think.
So if Eric Dubay was born in 82, he would have been 30 in 2012.
There you go. He's 43
during this vaccine payout.
Or 44, depending on his when.
So there's 2 Eric Dubays from Maine that got vaccine payouts. I think the other video I saw actually had the records of that settlement, and I believe it was in Virginia. I mean, it's been a while since I saw that. I'm not 100% that it was in Virginia, but they had some kind of documentation. And I'm pretty sure all the documentation was in Virginia, and the Langley, within 20 miles, everything was within 20 miles of Langley, Virginia.
Okay, so he's born in either 80
yeah, I really thought
83 is what it's saying. I think it might be 83.
That was the video. Apparently it was not the video. We're going to have to do a part 2 where I got to bring more receipts. because this video was very damning. The one I just played right now was mostly. I actually didn't know that about his previous girlfriend, so I must have. Yeah, that was the only video I have in the Eric Dubay folder. So there was definitely another one that I primarily wanted to go over, but.
And that's the one I have from 3 years ago. And this is where they're showing this stuff. He's making fun of Patricia Spear, by the way, in this clip. And it turns out, by the way, since she ended up again removing herself from the community, and went towards what I still believe to be the incorrect model, right? That maybe she was a plant from the beginning as well, right? And he's calling her out on this.
Yeah, I got nothing. We're gonna have to do a part 2 on this. So let me just do catch up on the last comments here, and we'll round this out.
Yeah, so you can't use
so
that.
I do remember.
Oh, that's weird. No, he's doing a skit.
Other people talking about it. So I didn't think it was going to get scrubbed. I should have known better. Assume everything will always be scrubbed at all times. I mean, I do that for like the more sketchy stuff, but this was just so openly discussed. Like that above top secret thread was pretty popular. They were talking about it on Reddit too. And then there was at least 1 or 2 people talking about it on YouTube. And I didn't bother to save that video at that time, but then I saved it later and it was still up, but now I can't find it. Read Deeply says, I trust more what I remember than I can Google now. Yeah, me too. That's why I'm telling you guys. The Langley, Virginia stuff was all real. I mean, unless it was Photoshop, but I definitely saw it.
Yeah.
All of that, like.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to find it. If people can help me find it, just give me the link to one of my videos from 2 to 3 years ago. I don't know. Eric Dubay might be in the title. I don't know if it is. Maybe I didn't want to, again, rage bait people, but I shared all these videos he's talking about. Okay, I have a lot to do today. And again, I know these are long videos. I like to be thorough. Okay, if you want to look at the clickbait, like the minute clips and stuff like that, I get that. The TikTok reels, et cetera, those are way more popular. However, I think that you still need to have, again, the people, I definitely am shadow banned. I have lower views, et cetera. But if you want to get what I think to be like a more researched platform where you can get as much information from all sides as possible, again, that would be this channel. But it's going to take, again, listening to long drawn out videos. Anyways, on that note, I will. Ken Wheeler did get back to me super late. It was like almost 1 o'clock in the morning. I feel so he works nonstop. Again, I don't know what he said. He could turn around and say that everything that I shared was like to him incorrect. I'd have to take a look at what he's going to share to try to refute my thesis. And again, I already put it out there for everyone to see if you want to see it. And I'm open to feedback. If there's compelling evidence where, I could be wrong on a few things, sure. But I'd be surprised. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised, but because again, we don't know who we can trust in the community. He may be one of them. He may not. I don't know. And just because he doesn't agree with my thesis doesn't mean that he's controlled opposition, by the way. So again, like that also is incorrect. Like we've had so much distrust within the community, which is why people are isolating more and more. And again, this is not helping. And it's not even just in this community. It's like literally in every community, every political party, etc. I'm seeing it more and more trends of people just, again, shutting down and isolating, becoming more frustrated because for years now we've been silenced or shadow banned and ghosted or targeted, etc. And, but anyways, peace and love over division. So on that note, I will leave it at that. And I hope that everyone has